Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. Today's stories are going to be a compilation of stories that we have covered in the past. It's going to be a longer video, but I know some of you are not into that, so if you're not into that, now's the time to bail out, because now we're starting with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Objective Search 5603. And says, am I the arsehole for going home early on a family vacation after my mother-in-law constantly invaded my privacy? I, 38 male, am the solo breadwinner of this house. I have a wife, 35 female, and a daughter, 5 female. Me and my wife has been planning this family vacation to Venice for months. For context, my daughter is very little and she needs constant attention or she will get into trouble. Venice has always been my wife's idea of a romantic city. It's been her dream to go there. However, we can't just leave our daughter at home. We initially wanted to leave her at my mother-in-law's house, but she wanted to come with us, and my mother-in-law said that it was her dream to visit too. My wife was very supportive of this idea, but I was more reluctant. My wife planned everything, booked the hotels and the restaurants. However, to my dismay, she booked one room of 2 queens instead of 2 rooms with 2 kings. I planned for this to be a romantic getaway and did not want my daughter in the room with us. We could easily afford 2 rooms, but my wife wanted to keep an eye on her as well. To make matters worse, my mother-in-law was constantly in my space. She also had to share all of my wife's expensive products: face wash, shampoo, lotion, etc. My daughter likes to sit on our bed when me and my wife are gone to the city. I come back to see that mother-in-law was sitting on our bed too. It is very unhygienic to me, and I don't like that she was sitting on the bed that me and my wife share, as I am a very private person. She also rummaged through our suitcase looking for a hair tie, and it really irked me that she did so without asking me. I don't like the thought of her looking through our stuff when we're gone, so I locked it. The final straw was when I woke up in the morning. I saw that mother-in-law has yet again forgotten something. For the last few days, she's been sharing the same toothpaste as me and my wife. I don't like the thought of her putting her toothbrush close to or even on the toothpaste nozzle, and I was ill the more I thought about it. I asked mother-in-law if the only reason she came was to freeload off me and my wife, as she didn't pay for any of the expenses: hotel, amenities, food, only her own plane tickets. I said that I've asked her politely several times to stop using my wife's stuff, especially because I share it with her, and it's very inappropriate. My mother-in-law was very upset and told my wife, and my wife screamed at me. I was very angry that the trip that I paid with my own money was now ruined, and I changed the date of my plane ticket and went straight home. My wife has called me several times afterwards, screaming at me and saying that our daughter is upset. I feel bad that our daughter was caught in the situation. It was really not acceptable what my mother-in-law did, and I had to set some boundaries before it gets worse. My wife has her own card and enough money to stay there. I'm not sure about her plans about staying or not. I've been ignoring her calls to take some time for my own mental health. Edit, thank you to everyone that responded. I'm reading through each response carefully and I realized my mistakes. I'm taking tonight to write a sincere apology. I'll be calling my wife first thing in the morning tomorrow. Thank you again. I love her more than anything and I want to make amends. Hope he added which was called their final update within the same post, so I'm going to cover that now, but there is more to this at the same time. They said, I just called my wife to deliver my sincere apology. I'm writing this with a heavy heart. She has blocked my number, and my mother-in-law informed me that she'll be looking into divorce proceedings. I've never thought about this happening, and I'm at a loss of what to do. I've failed our family, as a husband and as a father. I'm not angry at my wife for this decision, but I still cling to the hope that I can turn this around. I'm about to lose the love of my life over a stupid mistake that I made. I was not rational when I stormed off. She did not deserve any of my attitude. I'm praying at this moment that after some time off and I can change myself for the better, she will reconsider this divorce. I'm going to contact a therapist and marriage counseling after posting this. I feel myself spiraling, and I don't want to think how I ruined my life in the span of these 48 hours. Again, thank you to everyone that responded. I've been logging off for a while I work through my thoughts. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do next. All I know is that I've lost the love of my life and I have no way to contact her. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. My world has just come crashing down. I'm sorry, Maria. The first commenter said to OP, you're the arsehole and not the arsehole. First off, definitely the arsehole for just leaving like that. You're a grown man that is married and has a kid. Talk things through. Don't just leave because you're upset. Now, you are justified in feeling that way. It seems like you and your wife should have talked about your mother-in-law joining you on this vacation. And also, if it bothers you that much that you had to share a room, maybe next time be a little more involved in the planning of it so you aren't the one that is unhappy with how it was arranged. OP says, thank you. I appreciate your answer and I acknowledge that I was wrong for storming off like that. I definitely could have handled it better, especially with my wife. I do still believe that my mother-in-law was intruding on our privacy, so I should have made it clearer in the beginning. The other commenter says, wow, your wife books the wrong hotel room, so your solution is to abandon her on her dream vacation, forcing her to care for your high-maintenance kindergartner on her own. Couldn't you have booked a separate room for your mother-in-law instead of abandoning your wife and child? You're the arsehole. Opie says, thank you for your response. I definitely could have handled it better, but my temper got the better of me in the moment. On second thoughts, I could have booked another hotel room, but my judgment was clouded and didn't think of that, nor wanted to voice my concerns in the heat of the moment. It would have saved a lot of hassle. I'm taking some time for my mental health and I'll be making amends with my wife as I love her very much. The commenter replied to OP saying, I hope your wife accepts your amends. You might also be interested in learning about attachment styles and how that affects your relationships. You described a lot of avoidant behaviors. Personally, if a partner did that to me, I'd be seriously evaluating the relationship itself. OP says, thank you. I'll be looking at what avoidant behaviors are because I don't want to do anything to hurt my wife's feelings, though I realize that I have done so. Do you think a sincere apology will work, or should I seek therapy for anger management? It wounds me deeply that I've hurt my wife's feelings. I never want that to happen again. Jerome4 says, you're the arsehole. Your complaints are that mother-in-law was using your wife's products, not your products, sharing toothpaste and sitting on a hotel bed, which more than you and your wife have used. All while she babysat for you so that you could have a romantic trip. Oh, and mother-in-law had to pay for her own plane tickets for the privilege. So in the end, you're talking about a few dollars worth of products, a few cents of toothpaste, some meals and 1/5 of a hotel room, but she was using you. And now you're ignoring your family after skipping the rest of the trip. I wouldn't expect to be married for much longer. Opie says thanks for your response. It might have been how I was taught growing up, but I have deep respect for personal space and mother-in-law didn't ask me before going through our suitcase. It made me very uncomfortable, and the thought of her going through my clothes and potentially seeing my socks and underwear. However, I could have communicated it better or booked another room when we got there, as another user commented. I do love my wife very much and I hope to make amends with her. I think miscommunication was at the root of the problem, as I was seeing the trip more as romantic and she saw it more as a family trip. I will take time for my mental health and to organize my thoughts, and I will apologize to my wife. Jerome responds to that and says, what about your wife's mental health? You're ignoring her calls and left her in Europe with her mum and your mutual child. I will tell you as a wife and mother, this will be a deal breaker for me. As soon as the calls were being ignored, that would be it. You seem to enjoy playing games. Opie thanks him again and says, I admit, I wasn't taking the course because I was afraid of her reaction, as I realized I was in the wrong. My mental health recently has been very bad with the threat of being laid off. As I mentioned, we all rely on my income, and all the stress turned into a breaking point on this trip, which I'm wrong for. It was selfish of me not to take her course, but I have a history of anxiety, and I didn't want to spiral before I have thought through what I was going to say or apologize for. I'm going to write her a sincere apology and call her back in the morning. I plan on having an honest talk with her regarding boundaries and such with my mother-in-law. Opie then created another post which was titled Writing a Sincere Apology for My Wife and says, Hi, I screwed up big time. I'm not sure if this is allowed here, but I want to do anything I can to make amends. I screwed up by getting into an argument with my wife over something that I could have communicated better, and I want to write this in my apology. From her perspective, it might seem like I blew up out of nowhere. However, I've been very stressed lately with the threat of being laid off, and all of that exploded at the wrong moment during our argument. I pushed all my negativity onto her, which I regret very much. I'm not a great writer, so I seek help. I want to make this as sincere as I can. I don't seek to make any excuses for myself. I messed up and I'm going to own it like a man. However, I want to explain and make things right so we can communicate clearly and not have anything like this happen again. I'm not sure what format I can write this in to be most clear and sincere I can be. Thank you to everyone in advance. And OP got a bit of a pasting in the comments on this one as well. Dazzling Square says, you left your wife and child in another country. There is no explaining or making it right. You abandoned your family in a fit of rage. Honestly, think about the steps you took changing flights, which cost extra money, going to the airport, going through security and customs, waiting for the plane, boarding, the flight time, 13 to 16 hours, landing, deboarding, grabbing luggage, going through customs again, and finally driving home. At any point before boarding, you could have turned around and had a mature conversation with your wife like an adult. Instead, acted like a child and are now blaming stress. Stress does not make you abandon your family in a foreign country. If the fear of being laid off is so great, why go on vacation to Italy? Tell Reddit honestly, if your wife did the same to you, left you and your daughter in a foreign country over something so small, would you forgive her? What could you possibly say that would make what you did right? If you want any chance, do not write an apology letter. Say it. Then ask her, what does she need from you to feel safe and loved again? And do it. One more comment from Scrolls who says, my man, you abandoned your family in a different fucking country. First, you went to Am I the Arsehole, more than likely thinking about how you're 100% right and how shitty your wife and mother-in-law were. Then you got dragged and come here and asked for help apologizing to a wife you abandoned in Italy with your kindergarten-aged child. Honestly, man, I can't wait to see the she's divorcing me update because that's exactly what you fucking deserve. Stress is no excuse when you ditch your own family in a different country. Gee whiz, but now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from tsim12345 who says, how do I, 31 female, tell my close friend, 35 female, that our adult-only parties are offending people? First of all, I would love a real adult-only party where adults can talk and have conversations without kids interfering. She ain't doing that. She's having a whole party for everyone to focus on her kids only. I need to know how to address this with her. This happened 2 times so far. The first time we pretty much all assumed that she had to have planned for childcare and must have backed out or something. But since we weren't sure, we didn't ask her. I think everyone felt awkward believing they were paying babysitters for an adult night and then having to have her kids at the dinner table, and then very actively part of the evening needing to be entertained. 2 young kids. Then it happened again. She sent out invites for a dinner party in the evening with adults only on the invitation. Then when we got there, she had set up all these kids' games everywhere. She arranged the night around everyone kind of playing with her kids, and I could tell everyone felt awkward because people just wanted to have an adult night talking. But she had promised the kids that everyone would participate in the games they had set up and asked everyone if they wouldn't mind playing with the kids. I know that several people who attended the last event were very bothered by having to do this. People were whispering on the side about how they had to pay a babysitter for the night and would rather bring their kid along, and the kids could have just played games together if it's a family event. We barely ever pay a sitter, so I was kind of confused about why I had to spend my very limited babysitter funds on a night that I didn't even get to talk much with other adults because the kids were for sure the center of the evening. She even stopped everyone to gather around to look at the kids' recent art projects and tell stories and sing. Is this normal in other circles? What would you do if this was your friend? If I do say something, how would you explain this so that the person isn't mad or feels like you just don't like their kid? She was mad because everyone left early, and she had catered the event, but I think people didn't want to stay and preferred to just go back to their kids because they felt a little disrespected by the way things went. People are saying they don't want to hang out with her anymore. I don't know what to do. Part of me is wondering, because lots of people left early, if she already knows about the situation. I would have certainly picked up on the hints in that, but quite frankly, I think she just needs to be told or no one's going to want to go round there again. Which I know, for some people, not all, I'm sure people will call this out, but many people are conflict avoidant and they don't want to upset people, especially in a group setting like that. But there's only two choices to this. You can either communicate to her and let her know the issue here, or just not go in the future, which you may receive questions from her if she hasn't picked up on the reason. But Blippity says absolutely not normal. This isn't an adult-only party. This is a group babysitting gig where everyone paid for their own babysitter fees and she gets it for free. There's no way she doesn't know what she's doing unless she's really that deluded. OP responds to that saying, I can't explain like her entire personality, but I don't think she's actively manipulating because she's a very kind and considerate person in all other ways. It's like she truly isn't realizing that people are bothered. I don't know if it's because she thinks we all love her kids so much that we want to spend quality time with them without our own kids distracting us. We do love our kids, but I prefer to also bring my own kids so they can all play together. I thought she also loved my kid and would want them to be there to play as well. If that's not the case, then I guess the friendship would be over. Darwin says, just tell her you'll bring the kids next time to play with her kids. See her response. If she responds with, but it's an adult's party, then just call it out that it isn't with her kids there, wanting everyone to play with her kids. If she accepts it, then tell her to not call it an adult's party next time. OP responded saying this seems like a decent plan. I could say, hey, I'm going to bring my child to play too, and see her reaction. Maybe that would prompt her to at least explain her line of thinking. She's not a bad person. She seems unaware that this bothers people. She generally has been a good friend. So OP comes in with her update and says, hi everyone. I never expected so many people would have been interested in this situation, but it helps me feel vindicated that the situation was just as strange as I perceived it to be. I wanted to wait for the kids to get back into school so we could discuss it in person, and luckily I didn't even have to bring it up because someone else did bring it up to her, and she was eager to tell me that people were mad and she didn't know what the problem is with what she did. I was able to get through to her. I call her Katie in this post and also understand her perspective. Understand, not agree with, which I try to explain here the best I can. I cannot remember every detail of the conversation, but can paraphrase all the key parts. 1. She'd been upset because one of our friends, Molly, was taking care of her toddler while Katie's kid kept trying to show her something. Katie noticed this and felt bad that her daughter just wants to share things with people she thinks of as her family/aunts. We're just friends, but the kids call each other aunt and each other's kids cousins. So she wanted to build a stronger relationship between her kids and her close friends. She thought that us spending time with her kids away from our kids would be the way for us to show her kids better attention. This is especially important to her because she's an only child. Her parents are dead. Her husband is an only child and his parents are dead. Her children have no biological family. She's worried about what will happen to them if she died, etc. Her mum died when she was a teenager and she feels anxious about her health. 2. She doesn't feel that other people's kids need the same type of bond with her because our kids have biological aunts, uncles and cousins. She thinks they should be able to go spend time with their biological family and assume that we're all sending our kids to our family and not paying a babysitter. She has no understanding of what it's actually like and romanticizes it. She was shocked to find that my siblings don't just drop their lives to babysit my kid. People who have siblings still pay babysitters and did for her parties. 3. She feels that she paid for all the food and wine and that alone should cover the expense of the babysitter, even if we did pay one. She knows that paying a sitter plus dinner would still cost more, since she catered everything from a very expensive place. And we should have just been happy to get free food and drink. And if playing some kids' game is the price for that, it's not a bad price. Essentially, she argued at first that if someone pays for everything, they can decide, and if we want a different type of gathering, we can foot the bill and throw that gathering. Now, how I handled this. The last note did eventually change to a more understanding perspective as I explained more and more about how, even though she is technically right, she cannot maintain strong friendships with this mindset. You cannot provide meals for people with strings attached and deception involved. We didn't know until we got there and expect us to love it. She can do whatever she likes, but people can also end the friendship if they like. So she is free to do it, but not free from the consequences of it. I was also very clear to her that if her goal is to get stronger bonds for her kids, the way to do that is to love and bond with our kids and include them. That part seemed to be totally unexpected to her. I had to explain that people will be so upset by the fact that she isn't including their kids in kid events or isn't accepting that a parent needs to take care of their own kid first before focusing on hers, and that won't even be a part of her family, because that isn't what a family is. My sister doesn't expect me to leave my kid behind and be only with my nephews. My sister would never tell me not to bring my daughter to a family event because she loves my daughter, and that makes me love her and my nephews even more. I like to explain all this. Lastly, she is rich and did grow up rich, and as the only child, she admits she struggles to see things from other perspectives or to consider others' feelings, and she has to make a conscious attempt to really outside of her own wants and needs. She said she even talks about this in therapy, and that's why she goes out of her way to do nice things for us. I put some examples of her acts of kindness in the original post, because that's a way of trying to actively be a generous and caring person. She did cry as expected, especially when she was talking about her kids not having any family and her mum and dad dying. I'm very glad I did not mention it at the parties like everyone suggested, because I would never have wanted to do that to her in front of people. It goes deep, and she needs therapy to continue working on it. Overall, she did come around to the realization that she needs to alter her way of thinking about it and do things differently if she wants to achieve what she claims. She continued to reiterate how much her kids love me, and how much she does love my kid too. She says she wants to do things the right way. She's just frustrated because what makes sense to her doesn't make sense to other people. But she accepts that it's her who will need to fix her way of thinking. A lot of crying and some arguing, but overall, it does appear that we are still friends. We hugged and she said she's going to do something nice for everyone and their kids. If anyone still has questions about specific things said, I can try to answer in the comments. Appreciate everyone's help. I felt much better going into it knowing that I was not wrong for standing my ground on this. And that's how that one ended. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Do you think this friendship will last? Some people saying, they can see it going both ways, that her behavior won't change, etc. What do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account from the relationship advice subreddit. It's one with 8 updates overall at this current moment. If you have heard parts of this story elsewhere, feel free to use the timestamps below and in the description to skip certain parts of it. Now let's get started. It's titled, "My 41 male, wife 41 female, kissed another man on a night out. I wasn't bothered and now she's causing issues over it." Sorry if the title doesn't make much sense, I didn't know how to word it. Also on throwaway, as I don't want this on my main. Bit of context. We've been together since we were 18. Never had a great sex life after the first year. Maybe once or twice a year at most since then, but at the minute, it's going on 3 years. Although it bothers me, I love her and I love our kids, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I know plenty of friends in the same situation. Another bit of context is that I've always been mildly overweight, but always fit as I played a lot of sports until about 10 years ago, when I got really ill and a mixture of meds and comfort eating made me balloon up to nearly 300 pounds. Well, 2 years ago, I decided to do something about it. I'm now around 200 pounds and at 6'2" is the lightest I've been as an adult. I've actually enjoyed using weights for the first time in my life, but I have a bit of abs and some muscle. My wife, having always been far hotter, is pretty obviously insecure about the fact for the first time we've been together, women are starting to look at me and message me on my baking pages on social media. For the record, I've never been looked at another woman in that way. On the night in question, my wife went out with some friends, a mix of single and in a relationship. She looks stunning, and I told her so. I even updated my phone home screen to that picture of her. Lol. One of the friends she was out with messaged me about 3 months ago, and the gist was that she knows I get no sex. My wife doesn't realize how lucky she is, and basically, do I want to hook up? I obviously instantly take a screenshot and send it to my wife. Around 4 AM, my wife gets home and she wakes me up as she gets into bed. I'm half awake but can tell something is wrong and ask her what the matter is. She doesn't say anything for a few seconds, and as I go to grab her hand, she pulls away. I ask if she wants me to get her a drink and she says no. Then she just blurts it out and says, "I met a guy tonight, he kissed me. I didn't kiss back at first, then I did. And for the next half hour we were dancing and constantly kissing." She kept saying sorry and begging me not to leave her. My honest first reaction was, so what? It's only kissing and dancing. I didn't say that, I just hugged her and tried to calm her down. An hour or so later, once I got the right words into my head, I said, I know you feel really guilty, but please don't. I'm not going to leave you and break up our family over some kissing and dancing, and I don't love you any less than I did yesterday. And this isn't something that's going to grow and cause resentment. More or less right on cue, my phone goes off, and it's that friend of hers with a picture and a video of what my wife was doing. This set my wife off again, but my feelings still haven't changed, and a month later, that remains the case. In that month since then, my wife has accused me of not loving her because I didn't care. She's accused me of kissing other people, and more, which is why I didn't care, as I was covering up my own indiscretions, as she's accused me of being gay multiple times, which doesn't make sense. She keeps asking me why I haven't initiated anything with her, though in the past, she's told me she hates being touched, not to ever try it on with her, which I've respected. She's basically projecting, and it's annoying me, as it's putting a strain on us, which she is 100% causing. How do I get through to her that she needs to stop feeling guilty and just move on because I have, as it's not a big deal? I was genuinely more annoyed when she broke my baking bowl and tried to blame it on the cat. Lol. Edit. Hi all. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for taking the time to respond to me. I really do appreciate it, and I'm overwhelmed you all took the time. I keep getting asked a few questions, so I thought I'd address them here. Over the years, we have been to a few different couples counselors and sex therapists, the latest being last September for both. My wife always feels like she's being victimized by them, and we stopped going. Nearly all have said though that they think she is asexual, and two even saying she is displaying a lot of signs of being a closeted lesbian, which I have brought up to her before, and she is adamant she's not. On that note, I've had a lot of messages saying she wants to feel wanted and for me to be more forward with her. This is not true. In all our sessions, she said she doesn't want me trying it on with her. She doesn't even want me to initiate hugs, and just bringing up sex makes her feel under pressure. She let me and our therapist know that if she ever had sex without her initiating it, it will be no more than pity sex. As for people saying I don't love her, I buy her flowers every Friday on the way home from work. I bake her favorite cookies or cupcakes every weekend. I send her voice notes of songs I'm listening to that remind me of her. I tell her I love her every day. I run her a bath every night. This isn't me showing off. This is how I was brought up to show love for those saying I must have been brought up in an unloving home. People have said that if I don't get jealous, I don't love her. If she told me she was having an emotional affair, she spent hours on the phone with someone else laughing and joking. She snuggled on a sofa eating chocolates and watching TV with someone, etc., I'd be devastated. A dance and a kiss isn't a big deal to me, and not even close to divorce. Thank you all again for reading. Second edit. Sorry for these, it's 7 AM in the morning here now, the day after I posted. Been talking to my wife since 6 and said she's got a week to agree to go back to couples counselling. And she's got to stick it out this time and just not accuse them of taking sides and refuse to go back. She said no. She said they all bully her and make her out to be the bad guy. She said I went back on my word that I forgive her and won't resent her. I said this isn't about the kiss, it's about her reaction since the kiss, and that it feels like she's purposely trying to drive me away and make me leave her. She just got up and stormed out the room. She then got dressed and said she's going out until I go to work. So just two of the top comments. The first one said she's trying to sabotage the relationship and she's getting mad that you won't let her. Opie says that's the conclusions I'm heartbreakingly coming to. This hurts infinitely more than seeing her kiss someone else. And one more comment that says, friend texting you is a setup. And I think for me, I gotta agree with those comments that she's trying to purposely sabotage the relationship. I mean, I don't see any other way around it. But just looking at the whole thing, and to me, it just all looks so unhealthy. You started off with like, you never had a great sex life and you're not gonna make a big deal out of it. You know, that she said she doesn't like being touched, yet she's dancing and kissing someone on the dance floor. I'm just like, what? But Opie came in with her first update 12 days later and said it's been nearly 2 weeks since I made the post, and the short update is that we are getting divorced. I said in my last post I told her I wanted us to go back to couples counselling and sex therapy. She said no to both, as we went before and she felt bullied. She said at sex therapy that unless she initiates touching, not just sex, any touching like hugs or hand holding, it will be against her will and will be forced and pity affection from her. The sex therapist said that's very unreasonable, and that's why she felt bullied there. I tried to ask her a few questions too. Said, "Are you a lesbian or at least bi?" She said, "Don't be stupid." "Are you asexual?" She said, "I'm not a teenager with a stupid label." He said, "What did he have I don't?" "Nothing. I just wanted to do it." "Why didn't you ever want to do that with me?" "Don't know." "What can I do to make you do that to me?" "Don't know." "Do you want me to take the initiative and try it on with you more?" "Fuck no. I'll tell you when I want it. Don't guess." So she refused the therapy and gave me no straight answers. She's also said I've gone back on my word about not letting the kiss split us up because now it is. I said it's not the kiss, it's your behavior since then that has caused me to want to divorce. She said as it's my decision to divorce and it's all my fault, then I should be the one to tell our kids, and she will have no part of it. That was hard. As soon as they were told, my wife left for her sisters, and in 3 days since then, I haven't heard anything from her. I've tried speaking to her about the kids as they miss her, but she reads my messages and ignores me. A lot of people have asked about the friend and why they still talk after she tried it on with me. How I understand it is my wife tried to get the friend group to cut the friend out, but they all pretty much refused, and so my wife just chose to ignore her in group settings. On the night in question, the friend approached my wife and told her if she didn't tell me, she would send the video. So my wife didn't tell me because she felt guilty, but because she was forced. I've also spoke to a couple of other friends in the group and asked what's been going on. I'm not privy to. Apparently my wife was sexing up a friend's boyfriend a couple of years ago. My wife has also been boasting about how she has me under the thumb, and she gets away with giving me nothing and I'm too scared to ask. A friend apparently saw me out shopping one day and decided I was now more fuckable and thought she'd try and exact some revenge on my wife. She didn't really want me. I was just a pawn in this weird friend group's one of many internal beefs with each other, which I found out about in the last few days. Basically, they all seem to hate each other and mess with each other's partners. I'll be honest now, and I feel incredibly guilty about it, but when she left, my body and soul seemed to take a massive sigh of relief. It was like a black cloud that was dripping eggshells on the floor for me to constantly avoid has gone. I feel terrible for feeling this way, but I feel like I'm my 6'2" height now, rather than a browbeaten 3 foot who was scared to even say anything for fear of being told I was wrong or insulted or ridiculed. It's like the blinkers have been taken off. Spent the day baking with my kids, eating Easter eggs and watching cartoons, and I haven't stopped smiling all day. I haven't winced or broke out in a sweat, worrying about to be told off about being too noisy or watching the wrong thing on TV, or there's a wrapper on the floor, etc. Thank you everyone for your support on my last post. I appreciate you all. Max Zaddy says to OP after that one, "You didn't go back on your word, friend. Her actions after the fact and lack thereof is the reason." OP says, "Yep, I'm still not bothered about the kiss." Scary Butterscotch says, "I think that your state of being unbothered is exactly why you should divorce her. You're past the point of caring what she does or with whom she does it. That's the divorce death knell." Barrett Arras says, "It's some Olympic level mental gymnastics to say that the divorce is your fault because you went back on your word for being unbothered. Pretty sure kissing someone else while being married also goes back on her word. That said, I'd be taking her up on her demand that you're the one to tell the kids. Don't let her control the narrative because she seems like the type to be attempting parental alienation at every opportunity." OP's next update says, "Also want to thank everyone again for their concern and kindness they've shown me on my 2 posts, and also thank you to everyone on Best of Redditor updates who made some lovely comments after my post was shared on there. Unfortunately, the post was locked before I found out, so I couldn't thank you all personally. After my last update, a lot of people commented and messaged me to say that, am I sure my kids are mine? This thought never entered my head until I read what people said. Last Thursday, I ordered a paternity test, sent it Friday and awaiting the results. At this point, I don't really care. It won't change my love for them, but I'm terrified if they come back as not biologically mine, I'll lose them. I discussed this with my lawyer last week, who said if they aren't mine, it'll be much harder to get even any kind of custody. I told him if it comes to it, that I'll keep fighting until the end. Blood or not, they are my boys. Speaking of my boys, my soon-to-be ex has seen them a couple of times with her mum, who is genuinely a nice person, and the kids have been fine. I can't say the same about my baking equipment though. She came into the house on Friday last week when she knew I was out and took a lot of it, and purposely broke some bits she knew had sentimental value to me that came from my grandma and my mum. I can't prove she did anything, and she brought the stuff back on Sunday and said she just borrowed the items, but I love baking and she's slowly ruining it for me. I'd already deleted my Instagram page because she was insecure about the women who followed me. And this time she must have remembered I was making a cake for my niece's birthday and tried to sabotage it. I've made notes and screenshots of everything. As a lot of you rightly predicted, she's also been cheating on me a lot, although no evidence of it being physical yet, from what I can tell. Her friend, who is also in this WhatsApp group, where women basically just post nudes and men comment. I still need to get the details of this group so I can finally get to see some boobs again, lol. Sent me a lot more screenshots of photos she's taken. All around our house, blatantly our bedroom in some of them, and even stood against my car. Also, a few of these friends are single. When they hook up with someone, my wife will add the guy on Facebook and has been basically offering herself to them. One of the friends messaged one of those guys who still had the chats in his Facebook DMs and sent the friend a load of screenshots to send to me. All in all, I must have over 100 screenshots of stuff she'd been saying and sending to people, and all of that is within the last couple of years, so it probably goes on further. As for the divorce, still in the early stages. One day I want to fight, the next I just want to give her everything. Materially, not the kids, and walk away and start again so I can get this finished and done. If you've got any questions, I'll try to answer. It's nearly midnight here, but I'll try to stay up. Just thinking out loud, says to OP, good luck, appreciate the update. You don't owe a bunch of strangers anything, but we appreciate it. Take care of yourself and protect yourself. You can see how sneaky she has been. I think you need to understand how sneaky she may also be in a divorce. Record conversations, keep backups of the screenshots in case she does something to your phone. Just do what you need to do to take care of you. Good luck, rooting for you from across the pond. Opie says I've already started recording our phone calls, and on the couple of occasions I've seen her, I've made sure there's a witness. I feel so sad it's come to this. Makes me want to just give her everything in a quick divorce and walk away. Tiny little update. One day later that says, update, got the DNA results and my sons are mine. Thank you for your support, everyone. Opie's next title says, it's 6 AM nearly here. My ex-wife has the kids last night and I'm drunk and lonely. First night I've had to myself in maybe 20 odd years and I don't know what to do. I thought about getting someone round so I could finally have some physical interaction. Instead I just sat on my own and drank for the first time in years too. Sorry for the boring post. I'm just lonely and wanted some affection. Opie's next post 4 weeks later says, I, 41 male, haven't touched a woman since I became single. Last night I thought I was having a movie night with a woman, 47 female, but she wanted more and I couldn't perform. How do I apologize for making her feel bad about herself? And there's a wee bit of sex chat for about 10 seconds or so you may want to skip this if that bothers you. I've had some people bothered by it before, so just warning you. If you read my profile, you'll see around 6 weeks ago I left my abusive wife after I realized how bad she was. Prior to this, we hadn't had sex for 3 years, and when we did, it was no foreplay. Hadn't received or given oral in close to 20 years. Me and Top and telling her to go as fast as I can so I can come quickly. Now we continue. There was also zero affection, no holding hands, no kissing, no hugging, no snuggling up, nothing. We didn't even share a bed. Since becoming single, I've realized how much I miss this. I basically had suppressed this desire with my ex as I knew it was never going to happen. Since becoming single, it's like a switch had flicked and I realized there's a world of women out there and some might want me to bake them some cakes and then we can snuggle up and watch some rubbish TV and I can play with their hair or stroke their back or whatever. Damn, sounds like a dream. Cakes in a back tickle? Holy moly. After my original post on here, a woman started talking to me who seems lovely and I expressed these desires. And she said she'd love to do that with no implications of anything more happening. She arranged to come round last night and we arranged the movie. I made her a cake and she said she'd like, and I was all set. She arrived and it was the first time I'd really seen her. She was very beautiful and the couple of photos I seen hadn't done her justice. She told me she didn't drink alcohol, so I offered her a tea, which she accepted, and a slice of cake. The cake went over a treat and she asked for seconds and then thirds, which was fine by me. After that, she suggested pushing my sofas together, getting a duvet and getting under to watch a film. And then she said, or if you've got a TV in your bedroom, let's go up there. Me being terrible at hints thought that was just a good idea, so said yes. As soon as we got in the room, she just stripped off and got into bed saying she felt bloated from the cake. She wanted me to sit up and she would lay with her head on my lap while I stroked her back and played with her hair. I'll spare you the details, but I'll imagine you can guess what she tried to do pretty quickly in that position. My body wasn't up for it nor expecting it still at the time, which was stupid of me. Nothing happened. She then said maybe I'm just nervous and started kissing me and rubbing herself against me. I felt terrible for her, but she was really trying, but my body just wouldn't play along. She then got upset and said I'd made her feel ugly. And that crushed me, as that's exactly how my ex-wife always made me feel. She ended up getting dressed and leaving. I tried messaging her straight away to say sorry, but she must have blocked me as soon as she got in the car. Is this my life now? Can't even have sex with someone. I'll be honest, I've only slept with 3 people before and they were all relationships. I've never done no string stuff. If she unblocks me, how do I apologize to her for making her feel bad? This could be massive, says to OP. 6 weeks is not enough time to process that amount of trauma. Be patient with yourself. It gets better, but you have to give yourself some time. Be upfront and say that you just got out of a bad marriage and you need to take things slow. Big Fire Truck says she not only crossed your boundary but manipulated you into thinking she was the victim. You did nothing wrong, and it is more than acceptable to not be ready for sex 6 weeks after leaving your ex, and it is totally normal to not be able to perform given the circumstances, i.e. you likely need to move on before being ready to be intimate with another. Here are my 2 cents from my own experiences. 1. When I left my previous long-term relationship and entered the dating pool, I was also uncomfortable, not ready to get intimate with someone else, but wanted connection. I communicated this and it was respected by almost all women. Some did feel ugly or unattractive, which I understand. 2. Ideally, you don't want to have these types of Netflix and chill style dates. They attract a certain type of person and suggest that you're open to these implications, i.e. sex. Try and have more public dates. Example, meal, drink, activity, such as mini golf or arcade, or an outdoor picnic, etc. 3. It is not a bad thing to go out with people for the sake of building connections, finding your feet, etc. This is all part of the process. There'll be experiences that are less than ideal, but you will find someone that respects your boundaries and, or eventually, someone that can help you become intimate once again. Hope he adds a little update for those who still follow me. I've moved back to my hometown and given my ex the house. I know people won't be happy with that, but I just wanted a clean break and no ties to her or that city. The kids are with me and see their mum at weekends, provided I make the 5-hour round trip to drop them off on a Saturday morning and then make the same trip Sunday afternoon to pick them up. I know again people will say I'm doing what she wants, but if that makes my kids happy, it makes me happy. She seems okay with this arrangement, although she's flaked twice already. Once the kids say they no longer want to go, I won't take them. The divorce is still going through, but won't be done for a few more months yet, according to my lawyer. I'm baking a lot more and loving it. Thank you to everyone who has thought about me. You're all so great. One comment to OP with that one says, get your slice of peace, man. Sucks to lose out on the house, but if it brings you more peace, all the power to you. OP says it's only a possession is how I saw it. One less thing to worry about. OP comes in with a next update titled, My 41 male, ex 41 female messaged me yesterday saying she no longer wants to see our 2 kids and is happy to give them away in our divorce. How to navigate mixed emotions of this. 6 weeks later. I posted on here a few months ago. If you want to look at my profile and read them about my wife kissing another man on a night out despite not having sex with me for years. I wasn't bothered and willing to ignore it and carry on, but she kept making issues over it and eventually we split up. I moved back to my home city about 2 hours away and the kids came with me. My ex-wife said it was too far for her to travel to have them at weekends, so every Saturday morning I've been driving them up to her and then picking them back up on Sunday evening, so they got to see their mum. We'd make fun trips out of it and would take snacks, play audiobooks, have sing-alongs, etc. But I'd noticed they'd always seemed happier to be picked up than taken there. I just always assumed it was because all their stuff and their main home was with me. My ex has started to cancel these weekends a bit recently. 3 of the last 5 she's cancelled. She started to say things like, they don't like me anyway, and you've poisoned them. Which is not true. I've never said a bad thing about their mum to them or in front of them, and never would. Plus, I make 2 4-hour round trips every weekend so she can see them and they can see her. I'll be honest, every Saturday after I drop them off, I cry all the way home. I miss them so much. They are my little best mates. Every night after dinner, we'll do our chores and do a different activity. Sometimes it's a walk in the woods behind my house, or we bake, or have movie nights, or read books together. I'm quite good with my hands and love making and fixing things, whether it's baking, cooking, DIY, or car repairs, and they've started to take an interest too. So we have a couple of projects on the go, like building a kind of Wendy house for them, but it will have games consoles, a fridge for their drinks and snacks, etc. Plus, we are also building a couple of petrol go-karts from scratch for them to race at a nearby track. When they are done, which they are designing themselves, then we are building together. Basically, my life is taken up with them in the week, and at weekends, I feel like a lost zombie until it's time to go get them. Then yesterday, I received a short text from her saying she no longer wants to see them. All they do is ask for me anyway. They don't have fun there, and they basically get in the way. I was absolutely heartbroken for my boys, and I rang her straight away. I'll be honest, I started crying as I felt so bad for them, and she genuinely acted like I was annoying her for wanting to get to the bottom of it. She then said, "Sounds like you don't want them either, and are just trying to palm them off at the weekends," and hung up on me. I don't even know how I'm going to tell them this. Do I just say she's cancelled for a few weeks and see how it goes? Do I tell them the truth? How do I say it in a way that kids will understand and won't absolutely crush them? And I've got the conflicted selfish emotion of pure joy that I have the whole weekends with them. It's so selfish of me, I know, as they're going to be sad while I'm happy. Has anyone been in a similar situation from my side or the kid's side? How do I handle this? Zealous Ideal says on the back of that, "Don't forget child support. I hope you're receiving and get it adjusted based on new custody agreement." Helga the Viking says, "Don't forget getting your kids into counselling. I know 2 boys who a very similar thing happened to, and despite having a happy life with their dad and his new partner, the pain of being deserted by their mum never left. It's still there and they're in their 30s now." Rana says, "Sad truth, saw that firsthand with 2 different friends, male and female. This makes me so angry for the little kids." OP says, "I got them into therapy as soon as we split up because everyone in their life is attached to this one way or another, and they need an outside voice to help them understand it, and someone they can be truly honest with without fear of hurting feelings." Brava says, "Lock that in quick. Talk to a lawyer and have her give up her parental rights." Sicko Nat says, "I'd also be rethinking giving her the house. Time to sell and split the proceeds. Also, she can pay you child support, or you get a bigger slice of the house if you agree to her terminating parental rights, because the money is for your kids. Second order of business is therapy for you and the kids. Again, lawyer up, so there's money from the house for paying for this." OP comes in with another update 4 weeks later. They give a quick recap in the first paragraph, which pretty much covers everything we've already read. So I'll skip to the second one, which says, "So far as her giving up her rights as parents is a lot harder than I thought. Both my lawyer and hers have told me that it's hard to do this in the UK, and neither of them seen a judge allow it unless there is a physical or sexual chance of harm to the children. However, they both have also said they've never presented a case like this to a judge where both parties agree to it fully. They've drafted an agreement where both agree to my ex-wife no longer having responsibilities towards my children, including financially. Let's see what happens with that. Just waiting now to get a court date, but they said that could be months away. On to the hardest part, telling my kids. I'll be honest, I haven't. The first couple of weeks I just said mum had cancelled again when they asked, and the eldest in particular seemed pretty relieved at this both times. And last weekend they didn't even ask. It's been over a month now since they've seen her. The eldest has also told me that he doesn't like going there anyway, as all she does is sleep and shout. He also told me that the other day he prefers his new house and feels more relaxed. I feel terrible, as I was obviously missing signs before that he wasn't fully happy when we were together as a family. At least he's more comfortable now. Had a bit of a wobble last night with my youngest though. He was watching Land Before Time and then he started saying he misses his mum and started crying. It was full-blown tears and breaking down, and it was awful to see. While I was holding him, I started crying but made sure he couldn't see. I didn't say anything bad about his mum or tell him she doesn't want to see him anymore. I just hugged him and stroked his hair and told him I'd always be here for him and he can always come to me if he's upset, happy, or just to be silly, and I'll never push him away. Once they were in bed, I was in pieces, blaming myself for leaving their mum, questioning why I couldn't be stronger and live with it for a few more years until they were adults. It was me who left. It's me who made them drive up and down the country every weekend, unsettled them, uprooted their lives. At 2 a.m. this morning, I drafted a text to my wife asking her to get back together and to be a mum again. Luckily, I didn't send it. I had about 3 hours sleep, but feel better this morning. None of her family have been in touch either to try and maintain a relationship with the boys. It's horrible to be honest, but they're the ones missing out on these two amazing kids. One of her cousins messages me every so often, but she asks more about me than the kids, so either feels like ulterior motive or a trap, which I'm not falling into. As for my divorce lawyer, who said it should hopefully be finalized before Christmas, not that it make much difference. I don't wear my ring and she has a new 20-year-old boyfriend, not the guy she cheated with. Would be nice though to finally be able to say ex-wife and it be official. Zoe says to the OP on the back of this, quoting them about blaming themselves, and says, "Don't do this. Your ex cheated. Your ex gave up on your marriage without talking and trying to fix what's wrong. Yes, you were the one that physically went out the door, but only after she showed you in several ways that she wants you gone. Staying for the kids would have made no one happy, including the kids. See how she treated them after you left. Now think of how many years of this you and your kids would have had to endure. Not a great option. I suggest seeking therapy for the kids to help them break the news in regards to their mum abandoning them. And for yourself as well. Help get rid of the unnecessary guilt you feel and find a way to actually process what happened and find a healthy way forward. You are the role model for your kids. You just showed them self-respect and that you will always protect them. That's so much better than letting a woman who happens to give birth to them neglect and potentially abuse them further down the line." And currently that is OP's last entry on their post, and it's just so heartbreaking for the kids about how confusing that must be for them. And I would agree that, seeking some sort of therapy to break that news to them has got to be the best way forward. I mean, it's going to be heartbreaking either way. They're slowly starting to see what their mum is like. And I'm so glad OP didn't go down the route of sending that text of getting back together, because like the comment said, being in that relationship, getting back into that relationship wasn't going to be good for you. It wasn't going to be good for the kids. And I'm really hoping to see an update further down the line where OP and the children have moved on as much as they can in a situation like this and are living their own lives without, her lurking over them, because she sounds like an absolute shitty person. Absolutely horrific. Having your kids and then sending a text message, "I don't want to see them anymore." Just like that. Ugh, dearie me. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Conscious Visit 1953 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and says, "My girlfriend made fun of my speech impediment. I was left broken and now don't know what to do." Hello everyone. As you can tell from the title, I have a speech impediment. I have a stutter and always have ever since I could talk. It was way worse when I was younger, but has got better. I wouldn't stutter unless if I was nervous or overly excited, but normally I would block 1 or 2 times depending on the range of the sentence. Now that I've said that, I'll get back to the title. Later today, around 5 p.m, me and my girlfriend went out for the rest of the day. She was drinking, but I wasn't, as I'm still in university, and I'm afraid to get drunk and do something stupid, so I just asked for some soft drinks like a Coke. A few drinks in, she met some people at the pub and got along with them. I just said hello to them and asked about them, but that's really it, and was just watching football on the TV. Anyway, she was joking around with them and then started talking about me. I wasn't really paying attention to any of it until she told them I had a stutter. I was shocked by this, and I'd always told her I wasn't comfortable letting people know I have a stutter if I don't know them. She then started making fun of my stutter, mocking me and telling me to talk so they could hear it. My mind went blank and I didn't know what to do. In primary and secondary school, people made fun of me because of it. I didn't do anything as I was embarrassed, and telling on them wouldn't change anything, but it still hurt me a lot and would affect my self-esteem badly. My girlfriend knows of this and knows what I went through, and she said she would always be there for me. Anyways, hearing her make fun of me felt like a stab to the heart. I didn't know what happened to me, but everything went blurry and it was like I couldn't hear anything except from my girlfriend and the people she met. I managed to ask her, "Are you serious?" And all she did was laugh and asked if I was going to cry about it. I didn't know what to do. After 5 minutes of thinking to myself to try and regather my thoughts, I paid for my drinks, not hers, and gave the bartender a tip. She said she heard what happened and was sorry I had to go through that. I said thank you and left. Not knowing what to do, I went back to my flat and sat down thinking to myself. I put my phone down and was flooded with notifications from my girlfriend asking where I went and if I was okay. She didn't apologize for what she did. We don't live in the same place and we've only been together for a little under a year, but we still spent all of our free time together. 10 minutes later, I heard knocking on my door and it was my girlfriend. She said she was sorry and didn't mean it and blamed it on the fact that she was drunk. 5 minutes of knocking and apologizing, she realized that I wasn't going to reply back or even open the door, so she left. She knew I was there as my neighbor, who I was good friends with, let her know I looked upset and that she should check up on me. It's now midnight, and I still don't know what to do with myself. She keeps flooding my phone with missed calls, voicemails, and texts saying how she regrets making fun of me. I want to be able to forgive her as I normally did back in school, but this time, I couldn't. This time I felt betrayed and felt like I was stabbed in the heart by the one person who would never make fun of me. I still care about her and still love her, but I don't think I can ever forgive her, and now realize how she can make fun of me whenever she wants if we get into an argument now that she has done this. I'm hurt by this, but at the same time I don't want to break up, but will never be able to forgive her. I don't think she has told anyone about this as no one else has texted me. I'm laying in my bed making this post and trying to cry myself to sleep. I don't know what to do, and I'm seeking advice. Thank you for reading. Now to me, that's simply not someone that loves you, who's willing to take the piss out of you, get laughs out of people she just met, drunk or not. That's just inexcusable and unforgivable to me. How do you look at this person in the eyes in the same way again, knowing what they've done to you like that? And OP, you simply deserve better. Move on from her. It'll take time for sure, but that's what you need to do in my opinion. Elephant No says, stay away, don't respond, don't explain. Don't let her try to excuse it. Alcohol doesn't make someone humiliate someone else they respect. You have turned the page, and not only do you owe her zero explanation, you'll be exhibiting weakness to allow her any further reciprocated contact with you. If you have things at her place you need back, send a friend. If you give an inch to understanding on this or an inch to hearing her out on this, you lose. This is how you maintain and in fact grow your self-respect. I'm sorry it happened, but you're responding to it like a real boss. She will likely lie to her friends about you and why you two are broken up. Let her. The friends you both have who believe her can have her. Sometimes it takes something like this to see where you really stand with a person or group. Miyaki says, "Grr, she regrets making fun of you," when in fact that a decent, caring, loving girlfriend would never go there in the first place. This girl is an entitled bitch, and honestly, you could never trust her somewhere along the path of life. Not knife you in the back again, at possibly your weakest moments or at the most inappropriate time. You don't need to be living with fear in your head or her humiliating you again at any given time. Walk away, don't look back, and don't let this little brat's immaturity and quite frankly appalling behavior spoil your chances of making good, meaningful, and dependable friendships elsewhere. Screw her. Complete Design says, "Not the arsehole. I'm so sorry, that was cruel and awful. Do not keep dating someone who can treat you like that so easily. You deserve better, and she just showed you her true colors. Dump her and love and respect yourself." One way I would think about it is, imagine if you stay with her and someday have kids with her and one has a stutter. Is that the kind of person you want raising your kids? Not saying you even want kids, but sheesh, absolutely fucking not. She's no good. One more comment from Flashy Weekend 9499 who says, "Not the arsehole. I've had the same speech impediment as you, and while it has improved significantly, it sometimes resurfaces in certain situations, just as you've described. You are not less than anyone else. In fact, you have more courage than most. What might be a routine interaction for others is, for you, a battle with yourself that you choose to face. You could easily stay home, isolating yourself because of your impediment, but you don't. You refuse to let it become a barrier to achieving your goals. That determination shows you are not less than anyone, It shows you deserve respect because you accomplish more than many who have fewer challenges. Your partner should understand this and recognize the courage you show in every interaction, along with the effort that you put into addressing your impediment and facing the awkward situations it might bring. If anyone makes fun of you, it's a reflection of their own insecurities, not a measure of your worth. Don't let them make you feel like you are less or like you're someone to be ridiculed. Don't allow your impediment to hold you back from doing the things you want to do out of shame. Keep your head up, you deserve it. Your partner, on the other hand, does not, because failing to understand and respect the struggle and courage of someone with any kind of impediment is not the mark of a good person. So, sometime later, Opie came in with an update and said, "Hello again. I didn't think I'd be back here so soon, but a lot of people wanted an update and a lot has happened today. Before any of you asked, yes, I've broken up with her. But before I get on with the update, I thought I'd clear up some stuff that people mentioned in the comments. By the way, thank you for all the support you guys gave. I truly appreciate, so thank you so much. Firstly, I've never assaulted my now ex-girlfriend before and never planned on doing so. I don't know how someone thought that. Secondly, yes, I did go to speech therapy before when I was young. Update. Waking up today, I didn't know what to do. I was still in shock that my girlfriend did that. I picked up my phone and checked the previous post I made. I was truly thankful for all the people showing support. I took some of your advice and ignored all of her texts, missed calls and voicemails. I don't think she has told any of my family or friends of what happened because no one has texted me about it, or she has and has completely lied to them. I started my day normally and tried to ignore all of my emotions for her. I work part-time at a tailor shop and had requested more time, as still had some time off with university. Unfortunately today, I had work today. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go, but I decided I needed a distraction, so went. As soon as I walked into the back, everyone knew something was wrong. This is because my eyes had turned red from all the crying I had done in the morning and from last night. I know it's embarrassing. I told them everything was okay and it was probably just my eyes being irritated. But they said it's not that, as I was a very joyful, happy and innocent person. Word spread around about something wrong with me until it reached my boss. He was a nice person who I considered a close friend. He asked me what was wrong, but I told him nothing. He knew I was lying, as he said I am always a truthful person and a bad liar, and said if I didn't tell him the truth, then I should go home and give myself some time to think. I didn't want to tell him what happened, as I knew I would break down crying, so I just said I was going through some personal issues. He said that whatever it is I'm going through has affected me badly, and still sent me home. On my way home, I walked into a shop. I don't know why, but I just did. I looked at the alcohol aisle and looked through all the drinks, thinking to myself I needed a break from reality, since I had never drank before and I didn't know what to do. After 5 minutes, something switched on inside of me and thought I didn't need the alcohol, so I walked back out. This is when one of the problems occurred. I remembered how I left my jacket in the pub I was in last night, since I stormed out so fast. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to be reminded of the humiliation I went through and thought people would recognize me in there. I had my phone and wallet, as those were in my trouser pocket. I decided to man up and go to the pub. I went in and couldn't see it at first. My eyes were drawn to the area it happened and I started tearing up. I wiped the tears and asked the bartender if she had my jacket. Coincidentally, it was the same woman from last night and said yes and gave it to me. Before I could leave, she told me what my girlfriend was doing when I left. But I heard just turn the knife she had already stabbed me with. She told me my girlfriend kept making fun of my stutter, and when she realized I left, she realized what she had done and left. As she left, her new friends even said, "Sucks to be that guy." Anyways, walking into my flat complex, greeted by the receptionist who asked if I was okay, again because of my eyes being red. I said everything was fine. She then brought up my girlfriend, which then I started tearing up again and walked up into my flat. As soon as I walked in, I fell onto my knees and broke down. Again, I know, embarrassing. Remember some of the comments people told me, I decided to text my girlfriend. I'll keep this part short, as this post is already long enough. I texted her saying I could never forgive her for what she has done to me, how she has betrayed me, humiliated me, and made fun of my insecurities. I told her saying not to contact me, don't come back to my flat. I then said we're done, and if she wanted to even have the chance of just being friends, then she would respect my decision. I then told her that the stuff she had at my flat will be in the reception waiting for you, and asked if she could bring my stuff to the reception as well. A few comments told me to send her this, and so I did, and told her if she had a problem with it, then cry about it. Since she said that to me, and clicked send. Before I got a chance to block her, she immediately responded. I don't know how she typed that fast, but something she said caught my eyes. She said I was drunk and couldn't control myself. That flipped a switch in me. All I could feel was pain and anger. I went off on one and told her how I couldn't control my stutter, and she knew that. She still made fun of my biggest insecurity. She even told me to say something so I could humiliate myself. When she knew I was hurt by this, and still laughed. She knew everything I went through, all the childhood pain, all the bullying I went through. She even knew how I had suicidal thoughts as a child. I didn't say this in the first part because of embarrassment, as I was ashamed. To finish all of it, I told her to make fun of me all you want now, as she was dead to me. I sent that and blocked her instantly. I chucked my phone across the room and cried for the next half an hour. I stopped as one of my co-workers, who I would say was one of my closest and bestest friends, knocked on my door. I let her in and she saw I was crying and just hugged me and sat me down. I told her everything of what happened and cried on her shoulders. Before any of you asked, I had not had any intimate relations with her. She asked if there was anything she could do. Since I trusted her, I asked her if she could get me some time off work. She instantly said yes and said anything else. I took some time thinking about this, since she knew most of my friends, if she could tell them what happened, as I couldn't bring myself to do so. After this, and when she left, I took all of my ex's stuff to the reception and told the receptionist if she could not let my ex-girlfriend up anymore. She said of course, and said if you needed me, I'm here. I thanked her and left. After this had happened, my phone blew up from all of my friends saying how sorry they was that I had to go through all this. I told them all the same stuff and said it's okay, but I'm still hurt and need time to recover. I thought it was all over, until the receptionist knocked on my door and told me that my ex-best friend collected her stuff but didn't drop mine off, and told me that if I wanted my stuff, then she would meet me at a cafe tomorrow at 4 PM, as I couldn't break up with her over text. I was annoyed about this and went to my room. Most of the stuff at her house wasn't important, but one thing was a watch. It was my granddad's watch, which he gave to me just days after he died. I took care of that watch, and now my ex-girlfriend had it, and the only way I could get it back is if I met up with her. I didn't know what to do, and I'm still in bed writing this all up and crying because one thing my granddad gave was in the hands of the person who betrayed me. Should I meet up with her? There was 2 top comments on this one. Late Champion says, I don't know which country you're from, but can you threaten something like small claims for the watch? I don't think you could call the police, and unless the watch has monetary value, I'm certain even small claims would work. Why would you even leave it at her place anyway? As for me, I don't give in to blackmail, and I wouldn't meet up with her. You're already vulnerable, and I don't want her to use that to make you feel guilty. Opie says, from the UK, and I left it there because at the time, she was my girlfriend, and I trusted her. Because of Blue says, send one of your friends. I would gladly do that for one of my friends. I'll probably come in way hot, but I'm sure your boys could meet her there and get the watch back. So she's deciding to pull this power move of holding your stuff hostage, your granddad's watch hostage, to get you to talk with her. Yeah, like that's actually going to work. I kind of like the suggestion of your friend going along to pick it up, but she might not hand over that watch. I'd be tempted, which, I can't speak for OP, but for myself, I would be tempted to go in there, stand in front of her and saying, do you have that watch? Hand it over to me, or any of my stuff, hand it over to me, and then I'll talk to you. Get it, walk out, tell her to piss off, be done with it. Secondly, don't be embarrassed for how you feel and how you let out your emotions. We all let them out in different ways. I would say I'm a pretty emotional person as well. Especially as I get older, I find myself crying at all sorts of little things. Like I'm reading a story and 2 people coming back together, making a connection. I'm off. I'm off, let me tell you. And sometimes I just feel like it lets the pressure off sometimes. You feel like it build up. And for example, when I was dealing with my parents' stuff and, a lot of the time I was able to deal with things absolutely fine. But then once in a while, something would come up and the floodgates would open, and it felt like it relieved a lot of stress. So never be ashamed of your emotions. It doesn't make you any less of a man. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, someone sent me this one from the Neighbors from Hell subreddit. Getting excited already, let me tell you. From Possible Quantity 95, who says, "We told you before not to park in front of our house." So, oh God, I'm such an idiot. So, just got into a mild confrontation with my direct neighbor to my left. We literally share the same space as our home share steps. I stay on a street where people occasionally use objects, trash cans, recycle bins, etc. to save parking spots. Their car was there before I had left to run some errands. When I returned, the space was free, so I parked. As I'm going into my house, my neighbor pulls up, rolls his window down and says, "Are you about to move your car?" I say no. He then says, "We told you about this before, about parking in our spot." I walked right up to his window and told him this is a public street. Normally when you want to save space, you put your recycle bin out. You didn't, so I parked there. He then goes on and on about how since I want to play games, he's going to start playing games too, and park down the street. At this point, I'm calling for my father to come out, who's waiting for me in the kitchen. He says, "Oh, now you want to call your dad, as he's getting out." He then goes into his house and complains to his sister about the parking spot, so she also comes out. This is my first meeting with her. To my surprise, she agreed with me. Says, "You're free to park anywhere on the street you choose to. This is my first time meeting you, and you seem like a nice person. I don't want to start any drama with you since you live right next door." I talked to my brother. We've just been going through a lot with a death in the family, and I apologize for his behavior. Welcome to the neighborhood. I told her I was sorry for her loss and no worries. I'm still shaken up though. I felt like this was gonna end bad. God, I hope I never have to talk to that a-hole again, trying to tell me where I can and can't park on a public street. What's wrong with people? Welcome to the neighborhood, my ass. All that over a public parking space. Ridiculous. Update, the sister has been overly friendly to me now ever since, even saying good morning when she sees me. Go figure. Guess they were used to having it their way. Not anymore. This one left me with mixed emotions. I was like, what the hell happened there? What happened in the middle? I was expecting it to like really explode, but the sister came out. Was she being fake nice? That's what I'm trying to work out. Was she being genuine with the loss of the family and that's why they're struggling at the moment? Snoo Word says at least one of them seems nice, to which OP replied saying it was an act, because she was the one who complained about my car the first time. He said something to me about it when I first moved in a week ago. When I moved my car, she moved her car within minutes of leaving me. She just knew she didn't have a leg to stand on. She's smart, I'll give her that. Just not smart enough to realize I already knew which car was hers. They both don't want me parking there. Well, tough shit. Ooh, so that suggested it is fake nice. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm not going to rule out there's a chance that she was being genuine. She absolutely might be being genuine. You know, OP gave that update about sister has been overly friendly since then. Is it just me, or does it feel like she's just buying her time? Something's going to go down soon. Maybe that's just my neighbor brain kicking in. Oh, dearie me. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What about you? Have you ever had your very own nightmare neighbor? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from a lovely picture from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. It says, "Am I the arsehole here for marrying my brother's ex-wife and considering adopting his child after he abandoned both of them? I, 28 male, have been dating my brother's ex-wife, 30 female, for the past 3 years. My brother married his ex-wife 8 years ago. After she got pregnant, he didn't want the child and forced her to abort. She didn't want to, so he just divorced her in just 1 year and gave up all his rights. My then sister-in-law was devastated. She was a single mother. My brother does pay alimony and child support, and we are all childhood friends and lived in the same neighborhood. I don't know what she saw in him that she married him so early. My brother is a piece of shit. He bullied me as well. He's a golden child after all. So I supported my sister-in-law and friend throughout her pregnancy and helped my nephew as well. He never saw his father because piece of shit never met him. So 3 years ago, we started dating. We never told any of our family members and I moved in with her. We avoided telling anyone to not create any problem. So a week ago, my brother came at his ex's place and he was shocked to see me and asked me what I'm doing here. and we had no choice but to tell him the truth. He was very mad at me, and he hit me and screaming at me, how could I do this to him? After a bit of a fight, he said he came here to reconnect with his ex and become a part of his child's life, and he didn't know that I was a scumbag enough to do this to him. My now girlfriend threatened him to leave, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. He screamed at both of us and called us lovely names. In the end, we both threatened to call the cops if he doesn't leave, so he finally left. Now, all my family members, mum, dad, grandparents are saying that I shouldn't have such a relationship with my brother's ex, and I'm scum, and that they are ashamed of me. I should break up with her so my brother can be with his wife and child, and I'm an obstacle. I said to them that we were gonna tell them soon. I'm planning to get married this year or early in 25. And they called me names and threatened to cut contact and won't attend the wedding. My girlfriend is saying to not mind them and we'll get married even if it's just the two of us, and to report my brother for what he did. So, am I the arsehole for doing this? In the comments, Devoted Red says not the arsehole and there's no reason to wait until they cut you off. Go no contact with him now. You already know you can't trust them with the most important aspects of your life, so they're not worth any effort or consideration. Opie says, I just thought I'd be able to keep my relationship with my family. That's why I didn't go no contact or reported my brother. Global Fact says, not the arsehole here. Do what you want in that regard, but in order to adopt the child, your brother will have to legally sign away his parental rights. Opie says, he did it years ago. He probably hoped he'd be able to avoid child support. He couldn't. He pays alimony and child support but is mad at me for doing what I did. No Thanks 9802 says, so you help and support the woman and child your brother abandoned, but you're the scum. Yeah, it's time to go low contact or no contact with every family member that thinks this. Also, what the fuck is your brother thinking? Coming back after all this time, ignoring his responsibilities and having his fun, and think things are just going to go back to the same. Yeah, you can tell he was the golden child and can do no wrong. Not the arsehole. Opie says no, I'm not a scum for helping her and her kid. They knew about it. I'm a scumbag because I'm in a relationship with her and adopting her kid, which I shouldn't have done in their words. She is not just my brother's ex, she's also my childhood friend, and I fell for her, and we did what we did, and now they are angry at us now. Seaguy203 says, you mentioned your brother was the golden child, so that should have been a clear indication already that your family wouldn't have your back whatsoever. Please report your brother and make sure your nephew isn't anywhere near him. Opie says, well, yeah, but I was just hoping that there would be a way for us to maintain a relation of son and grandson, even if he was golden child. They shouldn't break their relationship with their son and grandson. That's what I believe at least. If there's no way to get this, I'll just cut them off myself. No Thanks replies saying it's a bummer that your family thinks that. They don't have their priorities straight. They are in fact the arseholes. I would listen to your girlfriend and continue with what you are doing and get married, even if it's only you, her, and your son. I wish all three of you the best. Opie says, oh yeah, we're getting married no matter what. I was just trying to save my relationship with my parents, that's all. The Crown and Anchor says, if you were assaulted, press charges. As for your family, you had to know they were going to disown you over this decision, so just move on without them. Beyond that, have your girlfriend's lawyer send your brother a letter explaining that he gave up his parental rights and that he has no legal right to be in his child's life. He'll probably petition the courts to end child support and alimony, so just be prepared for that. Opie says, oh, I should have mentioned this. Where I'm from and the laws I know about after consulting, if I marry her, he won't need to pay alimony and child support if I adopt my nephew. So my girlfriend came up with a devious plan that will hold on to adopting and make him pay child support and other necessary funds which is required in future, and fight for it for what he did to her and what he did to me. But I think of just letting it all go when we cut them all off if there's no other way and move on with our life. Roadkill for Snack says, did your brother change his mind or has your parents been trying to persuade him to reconnect with his son? Opie says, I don't know anything about this. He just showed up at my girlfriend's place, was shocked to see me and beat me and left after screaming, and we are discussing what we should do next, which is why I'm here asking for an opinion. Pick OK says, not the arsehole and cut your whole family out. Adopt the child and make sure to tell him the truth when he's older. Opie says, I was just hoping that I might be able to retain at least some kind of relationship with my parents. That's why I didn't block and try to talk to them all the time and tell them what I feel. If it doesn't work, I'd just cut them off because I would have no other choice. Do I think it was a good idea to get with your brother's ex to begin with? No, it just sounds like it's a setup for an incredibly messy situation, but like I always say, relationships and stuff are very complicated, very difficult. I'm reading a very small part of someone's life. This guy decided to walk out and abandon his kid, abandon his wife just like that. So for you to step in and be supportive and build a relationship with this person, can I be mad at that as well? No, I don't think I can. I can't be mad at that at the same time. But I think it was always going to create a messy situation down the road with your family or someone who's going to see it in a certain way. I think you always have to have in your mind that this is going to create a no contact situation or a low contact situation. I don't think everyone was always going to accept it, especially when we're talking about golden children and all that kind of thing. Messy, messy, messy. But OP did come in with an update, which said, first off, thanks to all the majority of people for their support and kind opinions. There are also some who are threatening me saying if it were them, I'd be 2 feet under, or there are some people I shouldn't mess with, or I shouldn't put my hands on someone's wife or blood. Bro, he did that himself. He abandoned both of them, and before she's my brother's ex-wife, she's my best friend. Coming back to the update, there's nothing much to say. Yesterday we sat down and called my family and talked to clear things up. It was my girlfriend who talked to them, and she said, even if we both don't get married, there is no chance that she will be with him or allow him to meet her kid no matter what. And it isn't up to him to decide for her what she can and she can't do. My family and brother all started convincing her to give my brother a chance and to be a dad and husband, and after a lot of yapping, my wife said no. She already found another man and there isn't much he can do to stop her. Then my brother started threatening me because he knew I was listening. I didn't even say much. He said I went too far and said nasty things. My wife cut him off and said never contact any of us. So now we have decided that we're going to file a complaint in the morning and move somewhere else, near her parents or at her parents. If I marry her, he won't need to pay alimony, but he will be required to pay child support unless I adopt him. So we decided to forget about money and going with marriage and adoption. We don't care about vengeance or money. We just want to live our life in peace and without any drama. And I'll never talk to my family or have any contact with them, even if I or any of them die, because fuck them. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story, which comes from the True Off My Chest subreddit from Positive Pi 8562 and says getting engaged has ruined my relationship. My partner and I have been together for nearly 6 years. He's honestly been the most amazing, wonderful, and supportive person in my life. He doesn't just make me happier, he makes me healthier. He's been absolutely fantastic in every way imaginable. About 2 years ago, we had the big marriage talk. We were both honest about what we wanted. He admitted that getting married made him so nervous. He has literally never seen a successful marriage. Every marriage he's ever witnessed has either ended in disastrous divorce or very sad premature death. I said I would stay with him whatever he chose, but there are some things I wouldn't do unless we were married. Just as he's seen too many marriages fail, I've seen too many loved ones abandoned by men once kids come along, or when he finds a better option. In other words, as long as we weren't married, no kids and our finances remained strictly untangled from each other. He proposed to me a few months after that, and since then, he's turned into an absolute nightmare. First, he refuses to do anything wedding related, but accuses me of taking over and being a bridezilla when I make decisions without him. He does things behind my back, like inviting our friend, who has 4 kids, to bring the children when we agreed the only exception to the no kids rule would be my niece, who will be 3 months old and for obvious reasons can't be separated from my sister for the weekend. I can swallow that frustration, but he's also become hypercritical. Any mess around the house, even if he made it, if I haven't cleaned it up by the time he gets home, he refuses to talk to me. I work from home, so I usually do a lot of the chores like the dishwasher in my lunch break, but sometimes I don't have time. This is a busy time of year, and while my job is usually constrained to the 9 to 5, in the last few weeks I've had to work until 8 or 9. When he stormed in last night angry that he had to clean the kitchen, and I pointed out I've been working for 12 hours straight, he looked me in the eyes and said, "So?" He's threatened to throw me out the house and call off the engagement 4 times. He stopped initiating sex. I've come to dread the sound of the door unlocking because he can't go 5 minutes without finding a problem to have with me. It's so bad that my mother, who was ready to adopt him a year ago, is refusing to be the witness that signs our marriage certificate. I've asked to call off the wedding, go back to being just girlfriend and boyfriend, but he says he really does want to get married, and he's just doing all of this to make sure he's making the right choice. Increasingly though, all he's done is convince me I'm making the wrong one. Edit to add, if it wasn't clear, I'd already decided not to marry him when I made this post. I'm packing up and going to my mum's for now. I'm safe and don't need anyone to call the cops. Thanks to the person who offered though. We've seen this many times in stories when we go from like boyfriend, girlfriend to engagement or marriage, how the behavior can change. And for me, and I know it always sounds harsh when I say this kind of thing, I'm glad it's happened now than before they've actually got tied together by marriage. And I'm not suggesting OP to do this, but I always want to know what's going through that person's mind. Why do they think what they're doing is a good idea? What is their end game in this situation? I mean, it doesn't matter for OP now. It sounds like they're out of there. They've checked out. This is done. But Shame the Devil says he's abusive. He was always going to be abusive once he felt he'd locked you down. This is who he is. You can't stay with him because of who he used to be, because he isn't that person anymore. He will likely never be that person again. OP says it's really hard to believe he was trying to lock me down. If anything, I had to kind of convince him to propose. But yeah, I'm not planning to marry this man anymore. Another commenter says, wow, it's just like he's punishing you for putting him in a position to marry you, because otherwise he wouldn't get certain things he wants. If not consciously, then subconsciously, he really doesn't want to be with you long term, and the purpose of his behavior is to make you leave him. I wonder how it is possible that he was perfect for a whole 6 years. There's just no way he was. OP says, I mean, no one is perfect, but he was really someone I wanted to spend my life with. He used to make me feel so safe and warm. He used to do things like when we stayed in hotels, he'd always take the side of the bed nearest the door, and he'd come with me on my old morning commute because he knew I didn't like taking trains, even though it added 30 minutes to his commute. He makes me laugh like no tomorrow. He once sent me to the doctors after I laughed so hard I pulled a muscle. He's smart and really quick-witted. I never laughed like I do with him. He'd do little things like coming home with a teddy bear just because it reminded him of the teddy my grandpa gave my mum when she was a kid, that he once saw in a photo, and he'd do big things like months painstakingly teaching me how to drive. And it was painful. Or driving 8 hours across the country and spending 3 days in quarantine just to see me at Christmas when I had to temporarily move in with my grandpa during COVID. When I changed meds and gained an alarming amount of weight, he woke up an hour before he needed to and worked out with me every morning for a year. I always struggled with a cold shoulder during arguments, which he always told me was him cooling off so the argument didn't escalate. But we had so few and they'd last maybe a couple of hours. Lately he can go 3 days only saying a single word responses to me. Calligrapher Away says, do you think he wants to marry because you said you won't combine finances until then? Opie says, I don't think so. I've thought a lot about that. At the time he proposed, we knew his grandma was going to pass away soon. We were renting the house next door to her, and while we knew he'd inherit the house we were living in, the two houses had slowly merged gardens in the 10 years he and his grandma had been living next to each other. The two houses had been in the family since the 30s, so he was quite keen on buying next door to both avoid losing it, the family member who inherited it couldn't afford to keep it, but also because having a stranger live there would have been a huge privacy issue for both houses. Would hope to rent it to a friend or another family member. He does earn a lot more than me, but he's self-employed, so the banks are quite wary of loaning to him. I work in a university which the banks consider a safe professional job, so getting credit and loans would have been much easier if he'd been married to me. Thinking back on it, I wonder if he'd asked me not because it was something he wanted per se, but just something that made sense. We'd been together for a while, so it made sense to keep moving forward. It made financial sense and his family liked me. I'm not a perfect partner or person, but weighing it all up, marrying me had lots of factual advantages for him. I even have dual American citizenship and had always dreamed of moving to America one day. So OP came in to update their post and said, "Sorry for the wait folks, I've had a lot to do. This has honestly been one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I'm back in with my parents, which is awful. I hate it. I feel like a teenager again. They're being very supportive and I'm grateful I had somewhere to go, but the house is so damn loud and I forgot what it was like. I'm trying to find an affordable apartment, but it's London, so that feels like a bit of a pipe dream. To top it all off, cancelling a wedding a month before is expensive. Only the celebrant and the photographer have accepted refunds. Every other vendor has been paid in full. That's money just flushed down the toilet. It's been exhausting. Before this, I was in a pretty great financial situation. I had savings and a plan and a house and a financially stable partner. Now I have less than 1/10 of my savings, nowhere to live and no real prospect for the future. It's not easy processing losing him, not easy at all. I'm still in the part where everything makes me cry and you feel like someone has taken scissors to your soul, but I've experienced both grief and breakups. I know this feeling will eventually fade, even if it might never completely disappear. When it's mixed in with a relief of being able to exist without criticism every 5 minutes, I'm hopeful it will pass sooner rather than later. But I have no experience for this kind of existential fear of being alone. Not having the family I've wanted for so long, not knowing what's next, actually trying to date someone. When I was little, I never knew what I wanted from my career other than I had one, but I always knew I wanted to be a mum. That dream feels like it's getting further and further away every day. I have no experience for this burning embarrassment of telling everyone in your life that the wedding they were invited to isn't happening. It was so painful telling his niece and nephew I wasn't going to be seeing them again. They cried and clung to me and begged me not to go, and they ripped my heart out. It's easy on Reddit to tell someone to end things, but when you've built a life together, disentangling it is so bloody difficult. A divorce would be easier because then we'd have a legal framework for all of this. Instead, I have to decide if I want to take him to court for the custody of my cat when I don't have a proper place to house her, but she's my cat. You might have noticed I've avoided really talking about my ex. We're communicating through our parents. He tried to reach out several times, but if I talk to him, I know I will do what I always do. I will buckle and take him back because I love him very, very much. I've been in therapy. Again, courtesy of my parents. My therapist has to keep reminding me to love myself more than I love him. I miss him anyway. He's promised to change, promised couples counseling, promised he knows he was wrong, but he also hasn't said the word sorry yet. Such a small word and yet so telling. He's been generally pretty accommodating to me. Expenses have been split 50-50, which is fair, but certainly a worse deal for me. He left the house so I could gather my things in peace. I can tell from the state of it, this has hit him hard. The cats have been the only sticking point and I understand why. The house is old and creaks, but there alone isn't fun. Neither of us liked it when we were alone, and a large part of the reason we got cats for the company at night when the other was away. I'm sorry if this wasn't the update you wanted to hear. My mind is all over the place. Special Lychee 6847 says, if the wedding date hasn't passed yet and you can get your reservations back, just try to offer it to someone else. Even if you offer it for half the price you paid, you'll still be getting some of your money back. You never know if someone is looking for a venue, catering, etc. on short notice. It doesn't even have to be for a wedding. Someone could be having renewal of vows, 50-year anniversary, celebrating their retirement, christening, whatever. Anyone wanting to have a celebration on short notice could potentially reimburse your money for you. Post in local Facebook groups, church, wherever people that could want to buy your party can find it. However down you are feeling now, it's still better than being trapped in a marriage that's not healthy. OP replied saying, unfortunately not. Since COVID, wedding venues and vendors are aware of that and word their contracts to make sure resale is not possible. They can sell their services at half price in addition to keeping the original payment. It's incredibly sad for OP, that update, and my heart absolutely goes out to her. You know, they've been together for 6 years and the love just doesn't disappear in an instant like that. It's going to take time, it's going to take grieving of their relationship, etc. Which I truly feel for her. And, you know, the money lost as well. Things look pretty bleak around her at the moment. I truly hope that one day we're going to see an update from her that things have got better for her, that once this grey cloud has lifted and she sees through the fog, etc., that her life has got better. Because the alternative to this was her getting married and sticking in this, what sounded like a really unhealthy relationship in the way that it was going. And that was no way to live at the same time. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Easy Development 627 and says, landlord attached GPS tracker to my car without my consent or knowledge. Hello, a little background. My partner and I were getting the spare tire to my car unmounted from the bottom of the car when he discovered a circular magnetic device attached to the lip of the bumper of the car. We initially couldn't tell what it was, but after using Google Lens, we discovered that it was a land, air, sea tracking device. When we discovered this, we were obviously worried, but I was essentially worried because I'd been stalked and attacked by an ex in November of last year. Thinking it belonged to him, we filed a police report and had them find out who the owner of the tracker was. To our surprise, the tracker was purchased by a landlord of about 3 years. Apparently, he's been checking our location periodically and the device was live when we found it. It came as a huge shock to us because he seemed like a genuinely good person who has a family and who even helped us install floodlights and curtains to our home after I was attacked. The police have been trying to contact him to get some answers, but he has not returned their calls. It has only been a day though. Other than feeling unsafe in our own home, we also feel like it was a huge invasion of privacy and honestly, a breach of trust. Again, our rapport with him seemed good and he seemed like a family man, so we just want to know what the future of our housing situation is going to be. I live in Oregon, so I know there can be a case made in criminal court. My main question is, would I be able to sue him? Sorry if this seems all over the place, but I found this all out today and I'm still processing what is happening. Any advice would be much appreciated. And the update's going to come a year later from this original post, and from my perspective, I can't give no legal advice. I don't know enough about this kind of stuff, especially when it comes to US law, because like it changes all over in different states and stuff like that. But I certainly hope that OP can do something about this, because that's some creepy ass level behavior. The question is why, and you know, you also ask the future of your housing situation. You know, all I can say is get out of that housing situation as soon as possible. If he's willing to stick a tracker on your car and he's your landlord, it just worries me what else could be in that place. To which the first commenter was thinking similar. They said, better check the house for cameras. He may have been making sure you weren't home so he could go in and do some more shady shit. Importantly, Fun replies that and says this right here. It's not much more of a thought process on his part to install cameras in the apartment. Be very thorough. Remove vents, outlet covers, especially in bedroom and bathroom. Change Wi-Fi, computer and other device passwords. You might be able to use your cell phone camera to detect the IR light from hidden cameras. In the end, it's best to terminate the lease and find a new place. And many of the other comments following that were saying exactly the same thing, is, you know, look for those cameras in your apartment, that he may be tracking you so he can go into your apartment when you're away, etc, etc. But then the update came in a year later and said, wow, I can't believe it has been almost a year since I posted this. A lot has happened between now and then, and I could write a novel about these updates. But writing is not my strong suit, so I apologize if this update seems relatively brief. It's a long update, but a lot of things has happened. So, as some commenters guessed, It was my ex who attacked and assaulted me in November of 2022, who attached a GPS tracker to my car. My ex, from what I remember, used Reddit a lot, so I had to wait to give these updates. Did I mention that he was an ex that I haven't talked to in over 8 years? Anyway, the way he was caught and his behavior following being caught is absolutely unhinged. I posted this the day after the cops showed me that the GPS tracker was registered under my landlord's name, but it soon became very clear that my ex had used my landlord's identity to try and cover his tracks, and he almost got away with it. He put my landlord's name and address as the information for when you register the land, air and sea tracker. The cop showed up to my landlord's home and essentially interrogated and questioned him about the situation. Obviously, my landlord had nothing to hide, so he answered their questions, allowed them to search his wallet for any associated credit cards and his phone for any associated numbers. He obviously came up clean, and that's when the real investigating started. The tracker was linked to a track phone that my ex must have been using as a burner phone. It also requires you to make monthly payments via credit card, but he would use a prepaid Visa that had no name and identity associated with it. He probably also paid cash for these prepaid cards. So all of this covering up, and you know what it got him? A woman's voice. Thankfully, the police officer investigating the case took every avenue to catch him, which included setting up a mini sting operation. Since the only lead was the track phone, the officer had a female colleague call the phone number to try and bait him. The call went a little something like this. She said, "Hi, is this so-and-so?" He said, "Yes, who is this?" She said, "This is so-and-so from blank bar. We met the other night and you gave me your number. I just wanted to see if you wanted to hang out sometime." He said, "Oh yeah, I remember you. We should definitely meet up." And so on. The police believed that the recording of the call itself was enough evidence for probable cause, but they wanted to get him meeting her in person to really solidify the PC. They would text him back and forth for a while, but I think he eventually realized that it was too good to be true and that the GPS monitor was no longer going anywhere other than the sheriff's office. He must have put two and two together and stopped. But not all hope was lost. The cop got voice verification from me and one other person that could verify that it was his voice. He was arrested for identity theft and illegally affixing a GPS monitor to my car. Both can be considered a felony since I had a protective order against him. The process of arresting him and indicting him was no walk in the park though. They gave him the opportunity to turn himself in instead of being arrested by an officer or being picked up. But when he realized the trouble he was in, he checked himself into a mental hospital, which was a loophole for him to not be taken into custody, and which meant a mountain of paperwork for the DA's office to get the charges seen before a grand jury. My experience going through the DA's office could be a whole other thread, but I will spare you the details. The grand jury eventually indicts him on both counts and I awaited trial. That should be the end of the story, right? Wrong. Not even 2 months after he's indicted, I see him outside my house. I was driving home from a date night with my partner and we took a different road that we'd normally take home because we saw some cute ducks in a neighbor's yard and it caused us to take a detour. Well, thankfully we detoured that day, because as we're about to rear the corner of the road we live on, we saw him. It was broad daylight and he wasn't even trying to hide his identity, it seemed like. In fact, he just looked like a normal guy walking around the neighborhood. At first, I thought I was just seeing things because I didn't think he would be that careless to be that close to my house after everything. I had a no contact order against him that requires he not be within 500 feet of my home or vehicle, which he was within. As we turn the corner and I start noticing him, he notices us and immediately turns himself so his back is facing us and just kind of pauses like he's looking at something, probably hoping that we don't notice that it's him. I tell my partner to stop the car, and when we stop, he starts speed walking the opposite direction of where our car was headed. We circled back around to verify that it was him, but at that point, he had disappeared into the bushes. We slowly start to head back towards the road we live on, trying to see if we can spot him. As we keep going, he pops out of the bushes about 10 feet ahead of us, makes direct eye contact with us, and then starts sprinting up the road. We head his direction to try and get pictures of him. We're able to get 2 blurry pictures of him, but probably not enough to verify completely that it was him. I filed a police report and talked to his PO about what happened. The PO had him come in and get a GPS monitor anklet pending investigation. I also reached out to the cop that helped me with a GPS tracker and assault case. He helped me go to every neighbor's house and ask for video evidence of creepy stalker X. Some neighbors didn't answer, other places didn't have anything, but the place with the bushes, they had a picture and video of him clear as day crouching in their bushes. Needless to say, he's currently in jail facing multiple charges against him. I want to delve into more detail about the justice system and my grief with it, but for now, I will just end on a positive update. Thank you to those who gave me advice and showed actual concern. To those who commented that this was an ad for land, air, sea tracking device, piss off. I also want to acknowledge the cop who has been helping me ever since I was first attacked. He saw me right after I was assaulted in 2022 and saw how shaken up I was. He went out of his way to do a sting operation on the GPS tracker, and he went door to door to find video evidence of my stalker. I don't think the average cop would do half the work he has done, and I will be forever grateful for that. All I can say after this one is I'm so glad you're doing well, OP, and it's not to... I just think of the alternatives of what his ultimate plan would be. The effort he's gone to put a tracker and trying to keep his identity hidden in some ways, using your landlord's identity, and then literally walking about outside your house, hiding in bushes, all this kind of stuff is unhinged behavior. I watch a lot of documentaries about, people that's being stalked and not being taken very seriously, and it's absolutely terrifying. So I'm glad to see something is being done in this situation. It's likely because of his past history, of course, but I'm so glad that something was being done. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from our very own subreddit, r/Mark Narrations. It does have an update as well. It's from Any Significance Please, who says, "Am I the arsehole for clearing my desk? I, 27 female, worked in an office for the last 6 years. Got the job right out of school, shared an office space with a co-worker, Melinda, fake name, and set up the desk to my specifications. Melinda came to work for the company about 2 years after I started. There were times off and on that Melinda would borrow my things, but they were returned promptly and in the same condition she borrowed them in. If she ever needed something while I was out of the office, she would shoot off a text. Mostly she kept losing her scissors, stapler and pens. For a lack of a better word, her materials were boring. Her pens were normal looking while mine were stupidly over the top fluff ball tops. This was to hunt them down and if anyone borrowed them. My stapler was shaped like a black cat. My sticky notes, folders, binders and paper clips ranged in color because I color coordinate. I had different colored highlighters, pens and tape. I gave all the old office stuff I was given back to my boss so I could use my own setup at the desk to keep me organized efficiently. Things like folder holders, organizing in baskets, etc. I brought in an electric kettle, a special chair for my back, and a mini drink fridge that Melinda sometimes borrowed for her milk for a coffee. My desk has always had the same setup and I would clean it regularly. During the different seasons, I had little things to set on my desk. A snowman and a Santa for Christmas, a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween, a set of bunnies for Easter, etc. Nothing overly big or fancy, just something to give a seasonal vibe on a small corner of the desk. Most people would go over the top at their desk with decorations, which is perfectly fine. One guy would always wrap his desk in Christmas paper wrapping. I only had little knickknacks. This is just to give an idea of how everything looked. A promotion was handed down during the retirement of one of the older members of the company. I was the one promoted. I should point out that I got this promotion because I would hand off holidays to other co-workers to stay and work. I excelled in my job. I put in the work. With the promotion came a new office that I did not have to share in another section of the company. I warned Melinda of the upcoming changes and said she would likely have a new person in my role in a week or so. She made the comment, "That's fine since I will switch to your desk." I thought it was because she wanted near the window now, so I didn't have anything to say. I got in about 2 hours early this morning and moved all of my personal belongings off the desk. I packed it all up, mini fridge and chair included, and took it all to my new office. I handed off the old desk things and chair to the proper people and cleaned and then set up. I have much more room in the office and I'm not sure yet how to use the space efficiently. About the time Melinda gets into work normally, she came storming into my office yelling at me for taking the good stuff. I am in no way her boss, manager or supervisor now because I've moved to a new section. I listened to her rant and rave about my stapler, my pens and my chair before finally asking if she was done. That seemed to be the wrong thing to ask because she went off about the mini fridge, the organization tools, and my little leg bike thing that I have to keep my legs from cramping or getting deep vein thrombosis from sitting too much. I finally told her that she needed to leave and come back when she was ready for a calm conversation, because I will not sit there and listen to her scream. As she stormed out of the room, she called me a greedy bitch. She has been telling the office I stole from her. Everyone here knows about my color coordination, my weird pens, and my chair and mini fridge. They say I'm an odd duck, but they still think I'm friendly. I let a breastfeeding mother put her milk in my fridge for months so it wouldn't be tampered with. She kept a supply at home and would pump regularly. The office watched me lug it all in the first week I was working, so no one is taking her seriously. Am I the arsehole? At first, I just want to say I kind of like that your company allows you to do that sort of thing, personalize your own setup. I've worked for companies that were absolute pains in the nutsacks. One of the last companies I worked for, your desk pretty much had to be pristine, no knickknacks on the. If you're not using it, it needs to be put away in the drawer in the appropriate place. I had to have a back and forth discussion via email why I had two keyboards on my desk, because one I used for like macros and stuff or like video editing, and the other was just set up as a standard keyboard. And let me tell you, it was it wound me up. It's like, how can I explain this any clearer? It's like, no, can't you just get it out when you need to use the macros? So I was like, oh my word, really? Why is this bothering you so much? But this is just simply, it was your property. Not sure why she's getting in such an arse about it. Just tell her to piss off. Simple as that to me. I mean, I suppose because you're in a company setting, you need to be a little more diplomatic than that, I'm sure. So, talk to the appropriate people about it. But Noir says, not the arsehole, but do run over to HR. You can't have people just straight up show up to yell at you for moving your personal property to your new office. Preach, my friend, preach. Also, this is very odd behavior. Even if they were office-owned supplies, as you said, you are usually supposed to return those to whomever is in charge of the office supplies. If she wants fluff top pens, she can put in a requisition, not go and verbally assault random co-workers. Seriously, you need to start a paper trail on this person. Enter the hellscape says, 100% an email to HR and Melinda's manager. Just the angry conversation. Yeah, OP could just handle it herself between the two of them, but with Melinda very loudly calling her a greedy bitch and now no doubt bad-mouthing her to others, that's defamation and hurting OP's character. Given that she just got a promotion, words like that could lead to people thinking she was the wrong hire and really hurt her upwards movement. Ginger Inside 007 says totally not the arsehole. This happened with one of my co-workers years ago. Oddly enough, found a lot of her coloured folders left behind since she left the office since COVID and working from home. And the manager lady demanded she either go to the manila coloured folders or ugly green ones because it made everyone else feel unimportant. Dearie me. She did eventually go to HR because that manager took some of her stuff when she was on vacation and said, I decided to get the same things as you since I wanted to coordinate. I'm charging the company for what I bought. Lady never bought it. She stole it and charged the company. When that came out, the lady had to not only reimburse the company, but the co-worker too. Then the lady retired soon after as she was meddling in other people's business, including mine, where we had zero contact due to our jobs. Congrats on the promotion. Keep being your individual self and use the goodies that work for you. Oh yeah, congratulations from myself by the way as well. Good shout there, Ginger. So then OP came in with the update and said, I followed the big advice I kept getting about making time to meet with HR. I made an appointment, got in contact with a few people who witnessed her yelling and others who she told I was stealing her stuff, so I had evidence at hand. I had all my invoices for everything I had bought with my own money. Thank you for this bit of advice. It really saved me. My appointment was first thing in the morning, but to my surprise, they'd already caught wind of the problem. HR was quite disappointed in me at the start of the meeting. I let them talk until they started in about me returning my stolen items. I handed over all of the invoices and asked them to explain how I was to return the items I myself bought with my own money. They quickly and profusely apologized. They said Melinda, fake name of my co-worker, had caused such a stir among the co-workers and people were getting upset. I told them their apology meant very little to me because it showed how quickly they would jump to a random claim of anything negative. There is a difference between being proactive and negligent. They're upset to hear that, but understood. I demanded the allowance of a sort of nanny cam in my office and change of locks that let only myself, my immediate boss, and the maintenance man to have a copy. Both demands were promptly met. They drafted the email sent to Melinda, with my approval, and sent it off. They then held a meeting to clear the bad air Melinda had left around the office, waving my invoices as proof. Melinda was not present for the meeting, but I did see her boss leading her to the HR department a little while later. It looked like she had been crying. Others came up to me to either tell me they'd never believed her or apologize for wondering if what she was saying was true. My new co-workers told me this was an epic start to my new beginning in their section. One of the ladies said I had a shiny spine to scold HR of all departments. They all seem like lively and well-connected people. I'm a little worried about trying to find a place to fit, since I don't usually fit well with people. Again, thank you everyone for your help and votes. And because it's on our own subreddit, I'm just going to read the top comment from this update from Busy Suspect 6278, who said, I was waiting for this post. Good for you. So happy you're able to get everything in order and arrived with receipts. Frankly, HR should be ashamed for immediately picking a side instead of being a neutral party. You are a winner here. Congrats, and I hope you mesh well with the new crew you're going to be working with. Absolutely. I'm glad OP did get this sorted, and like they said, HR to jump on one side immediately like that without any discussion is absolute batshit crazy in my opinion. Not surprising, but still crazy. And to me it sounds like you're going to be a good fit with the new team, and I really hope that you are and enjoy your new position with less drama going forward. Anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Dazzling P from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole for making my family cancel their vacation because I won't watch their dogs? No. Man, I remember being so naive. You got me. Let's read the story first, Mark. Come on now. Not the a-hole. My parents, 82 male, 75 female, asked if I would help them book a much needed vacation. They also asked me to do the same for my brother, 43, and sister-in-law, 33, because they wanted to take a family vacation in September. My husband, 46, and I, 41 female, can't afford to go because I'm currently out of a job. Even though this would be the first family vacation I have ever missed, and it made me really sad. I said I would of course help. My mum even mentioned to me that in a good way it's good because I'd be able to watch my brother's pugs and my parents' chihuahua. Here's the thing about watching the dogs. It's a 24/7 job that requires me to stay at my brother's house. The dogs are wonderful but very high maintenance. Because of this, I've been telling my brother for nearly 10 years that he needed to hire a dog sitter. Money isn't an issue for him. I've dog sat for them 3 times this past year, varying from 1 to 5 nights. They paid me well, but I do not feel comfortable staying at their house. I find their around-the-clock care exhausting. My husband and I have 5 cats. We're no stranger to feeling like our pets are our kids, but we don't have dogs for a reason. Now, I'm supposed to be booking this trip for my brother, but he hasn't even asked me about watching the dogs. Sunday at family dinner, everyone is sitting there except my sister-in-law who was ill. My brother was sitting across from me, so I reach out to hold his hand and say that I love him, I love the pugs, but I can't watch them when they go on vacation, and they need to get a dog sitter. I said it was too much to ask me to be trapped in their house for 7 nights, and I've been asking him to hire a dog sitter for nearly a decade. I even offer suggestions and said I'll help find someone. He starts to get reactive and says that they won't watch my cats anymore. I said that's fine. We have a cat sitter, but I point out that I ask them if they can help. They, on the other hand, didn't ask me. My brother finally concedes that it is a lot to ask 7 nights and 5 dogs. Excuse me? Yes, 5 dogs, because his mother-in-law apparently was planning to go too. So now added to the mix are 2 Italian greyhounds. I stay calm and gently point out that I felt this way before knowing there were 5 dogs. Can he imagine how I felt? He seemed to understand. By the time I left dinner, there were hugs and kisses and all was well. I knew my brother was upset, but he seemed to understand and I was really proud of putting up boundaries. The next evening, I called my parents to see if they have heard from my brother. Apparently called him after he got home from family dinner and was blindsided by me. My sister-in-law was just as upset as him too. They think I'm throwing a tantrum because I can't go on the vacation. Well, yes, that sucks. I told him my real issue is being trapped at their house for 7 nights. Now they're cancelling the vacation because I won't watch the dogs. Am I the arsehole for telling them I won't do it? I was confused at the start. I kind of got the parents asking OP to help. They're 82, 75. Perhaps not very good with technology. I'm going down that route at the moment, so they needed some assistance booking some kind of vacation. Fair enough. But then they ask, can you do it for the brother and sister-in-law 43 and 33? I mean, if they're going as well, why can't they book it? Why is this falling on OP to begin with? But this isn't absolutely not the arsehole from me. The absolute entitlement to expect you to be doing this and then get angry that you're not is just insane. It's a huge ask to be doing this. 7 nights staying there with 5 dogs is a lot of work. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of cleaning up after them, a lot of feeds, whilst you're stuck in a place that you don't want to be. That's a big ask. And you wasn't harsh about telling him. You reached across, held his hand and said that you love him and tried to say it in as a gentle way as possible. You know, this is on them. You sound like a kind-hearted individual that tried letting them down as gently as you could and they got offended by it. That's on them. They need to really take a long, hard look at themselves. So having hope says to the OP, not the arsehole. They're grown people who had plenty of time to find arrangements for their dogs. Didn't they have someone else to watch the dogs when you all traveled together? Is this a weird ploy to punish you by making you feel guilty or something? Seems reactive. OP says the only time we have all traveled together was for my brother's wedding, which the dogs came to. This would be an international beach trip, which we haven't had in, I guess, over a decade. To be fair, he couldn't go on the last trip in 2015 and I went. But I only had 1 cat that had no special requirements at the time, so my roommate watched her. So I feel bad for him not being able to go on a family vacation. Although it feels self-induced to me at this point, but I'm very emotional and I can't tell if my judgment is clouded. Lego Panda Bear says, not going is his choice. He could find or pay a dog sitter if he wanted. He's blaming you to divert the blame from himself. You are doing what is best for you. Mrs. says this 100%. Our 2 dogs go on their doggy daycare when we go on vacation. I believe everyone is happier. If my DH and I travel without our son, my parents take care of all of them at our house. Parsimonious Salad says not the arsehole. They can hire a pet sitter. It's not your household to take responsibility for. Edit, I also don't understand why they needed your help to book it. OP says oops, I took that part out because I was way over the character limit. I can book like a travel agent and waive my commission so they can save a few hundred. Okay. I realize how awful that sounds in context of this post, but it's easy for me to do, and as someone that loves to do things for others but currently doesn't have the budget for it, it's something I'm happy to do. Healer Haven says, so they get a discount by not paying you for your services and expect you to watch 5 dogs 24/7 and live apart from your spouse to do so. How much do they usually pay you for the normal 3? Because I bet it's not nearly as generous as they tell you it is. OP responds saying, so this isn't a super common situation for us, despite what my harping on for this 10 years implies. I went over my character limit, so I couldn't add this bit of context. My brother set the precedent nearly 10 years ago that the dogs could never be alone at night because of separation anxiety. So when he was single and traveling for work, my mum had to stay the night there with the dogs. And since she lived closer than me and I had an office job, she would go back and forth to the house every 5 hours to let them out. Back then, I used to say it wasn't fair to Mum and that he needed to hire a dog sitter. My mum loved it because the pug cuddles are amazing and they're good dogs, but I was still vocal that it was way too much to ask Mum. Last year, my husband and I bought a house a mile away from my brother, and the dog care has fallen to me because why would I make my mum continue to do that when it's easier for me? The first time I did it, I was extremely anxious, but I didn't complain because it was so my brother and sister-in-law could take a family vacation with their dying father. I had 4 dogs then, and it was $500 for 5 days. To be completely honest, I would not have accepted the money if I hadn't just lost my job. For me, that is what family is for. There was another couple of times for 1 and then 3 nights due to a family emergency with my sister-in-law's family, so again, no problem. I've dropped by a couple of times to let the dogs out back to potty when asked. And even recently there was a day that neither my mum or I were available to let the pugs out when a situation came up. I specifically told my brother he needed to have a trusted pet sitter on hand and hire them before he needs them. But this is the first time that I feel it's completely different and not right for them to ask me to do all this. It's like taking advantage, and it feels like when my mum had to stay there when my brother travelled all over again. And I'm not willing to put myself through it for a long vacation. This is exactly the scenario I've been harping on. So I think it's fair to say the post was overwhelmingly not the arsehole in this situation. OP came in with an update and said, "My brother apologized and we're having a very good and calm conversation. We were getting to a point where I was willing to make a compromise because I finally felt heard." Whenever I see lines like, "we were getting to a point," I know something bad's coming. Then my sister-in-law, who had an attitude the whole time, snappily said, "Okay, so what do we need to do to resolve this?" Things started to get heated because I felt her tension and tried to acknowledge it. I said that I was really hurt by my sister-in-law's actions. I left it out of my original post, but she was complaining about helping me clean my house before my wedding. I later found out that she told my dad that I had moldy dishes in the sink, and that was humiliating. I said it hurt a lot when I learned she brought it up again as part of her argument. Why should I watch the dogs? She sarcastically said, "Oh, so I'm the villain." I said, "I feel like from what I've gathered from my parents this past week, that you think I'm sabotaging this vacation because I'm jealous that I can't go. And if you think that, you really must not know me, and that hurts." And she said the same rude tone as earlier. "I must not know you because that is 100% what I think." My eyes welled up because I felt like she had just sucker punched me. And she looked at me and said, "Here comes the temper tantrum." I stood up to leave, then I turned around again and said, over everyone yelling my name, to calm down. "If with all your time, money and resources decide to not go on vacation, that is your own decision and not because of me." I got the hell out of the house and sat in the car until my husband came out. She was in my wedding. I've been so happy to have her as my sister-in-law. I've been nothing but loving to her. Now I see she doesn't give a fuck about me. I'm gutted. It's clear that she has zero respect for me and probably never even liked me. I'm devastated because my family is everything, and I feel like my relationship with my brother will forever be altered. She is not the person I thought she was, and now I'm not only not watching the dogs, but I guess I'm also accepting that I don't have a sister like I thought I did. Interesting order says, "Not the arsehole. Cut contact with a sister-in-law. They're mad because you won't watch their dogs, and that's on them, not you." It says, "I'm curious about the anger displayed by sister-in-law. Her comments and responses to the conversation would have torpedoed any such discussion with anyone, including Mother Teresa. I hope the rest of the family realizes that sister-in-law is a two-faced arsehole and villain, 9th degree. ETA, not the arsehole." Cygnus Song says she decided she's entitled to OP's assistance. She's not asking for a favor, she's demanding what is already hers. She's offended by OP's disobedience. Flat Shame says not only that she thinks OP owes her, she's not OP's friend, not the arsehole OP. I never understand people who get pets and don't think of the responsibilities of having that pet. I accepted Poppy with us because she was my dad's dog and we love her to bits. Any of my family would have taken her in, but I was in probably the best position to do so. And whilst I'm a huge dog fan, pet fan in general, I wouldn't usually have a dog in any other situation right now at this time in my life because of the responsibilities to it. I like going on holiday, I like traveling about, and I quite like doing it spontaneously when I get the chance. But you know, having a dog, it requires a lot more planning. I don't resent Poppy in any way, so don't take that. So don't take it that way. Absolutely love her to bits. Wouldn't change anything. But pets are a lot of responsibility, and you need to have things in place if you are going on holiday, etc. I'm lucky enough that, you know, when this arrangement came about with Poppy, and I said, like, I'll take Poppy in, but could people step up and, like, when I want to go on holiday, etc., could you step in and maybe, you know, take her in for the week? And of course, family was like, yeah, hell yeah. And that's what we do now. And Poppy absolutely loves it when she goes to my brother's, like with my niece and stuff. Absolutely loves her to bits, follows her around all the time. And I get photos of her chilling out whilst I'm on holiday at the same time, which is just wonderful. Oh, geez, I'm going off again. I'm going off again. I do apologize. Whenever I get a story that I can relate to, I feel like I'm sat in a cafe and I'm just having a chinwag with people, you know. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, I saw this title and it had me boiling up already. It's from Affectionate Bus 6281 that says, "Stepdad stole my identity, causing my credit score to drop over 200 points. When I brought it up, he spit on me." What a prick. I never had a reason to check my credit score until a couple of months ago, other than when I got a credit card in 2021. At the time, I had a 745. When I went to purchase my first car on my own in April, the dealership told me my credit score was 541. I had no idea why, since I barely used my credit card and always paid it off in full every month on time. I put off buying the car while I looked into my credit and was mortified when I saw 2 other credit cards on my report, both of which were nearly maxed out, and with probably 15 late payments between the 2 of them. When I asked my mum and stepdad about it, my stepdad said he opened the cards when I went to college because I stopped paying rent at the house. When I lived there during my 2 years at CC, I paid them $500 a month in rent. I stopped paying when I moved out. We ended up arguing about it and he said I owed it to him for the years I didn't pay rent, literally talking about 8th to 12th grade, and to just drop it. When I told him he can't do that without my permission, he said he doesn't need permission and spit in my face. Like a full-on spit on my face. I left crying and my mum called to apologize. She talked a little bit and she told me he had something similar happen to him in the past. Obviously that's no excuse, and I told her I'd have to go to the police about the accounts. She said to slow down and really think about if that's what I want to do. I hung up the phone. I wish I had known about the accounts sooner. I still think I'm going to call the police, but is there any other way of handling this? Absolutely go to the police right away. The mum in this situation is really getting on my tits as well. Imagine seeing someone spit in your child's face or any family member's face without even talking about the credit score stuff. That would send me over the edge. All that shit happening and the mum's just like, "Oh, hold up a sec. You sure you want to do that?" She's in on it too. She's going to get herself in trouble at the same time. Shitty people, actions have consequences, all that good stuff. No Trey says, "First, start with a police report for both identity theft and assault. You will need the police report for when you're in contact with the credit card companies and the credit agencies." Snarks quotes OP and says, "Not unless you want to ignore it and let him get away with committing a crime and tanking your credit for the next 7 years at least. Seriously though, he knew he was committing fraud and did it anyway. Freeze your credit and report the fraud to the cops and the credit agencies." Oh, and this, in quotes, he said, "I owed it to him for the years I didn't pay rent," literally talking about 8th to 12th grade. And it says, "Is some bullshit. You were a minor. Providing for you was their job." One more comment from Pastel Phoenix who says, "As a person who went through similar with my own father, my advice to you is contact your creditors and police and press charges. Everyone is going to press you and tell you to drop it. People are going to paint your stepfather as the victim. People are going to say you're overreacting. He committed a crime that could have repercussions that last decades. Do not trust them. Do not compromise. I had to spend almost 2 decades repairing the damage my father did, and in the end, my family still thinks I'm selfish for even bringing it up. Your stepfather is a thief and a liar, and so is anyone who supports him. If he was willing to do this in the first place, he certainly isn't going to be a supportive figure in the future. That ship has already sailed. As someone with perspective here, I'm telling you, If you don't do something about this right now, you will regret it. So OP came in with her update and said, I made the police report for both identity theft and the spitting. They said it was 2 separate incidents. The identity theft a felony and the spitting a misdemeanor. About a week afterwards, my dad comes storming into my workplace. He always had anger issues, but this is a new low for him. He starts screaming at me for calling the police, and a security guard comes in and tells him to leave. The security guard meant well, but she's probably 23 years old and small, and my dad is 6'2" and has been in plenty of fights in his life. My manager told me to go back, and he followed me back there. I locked myself in the bathroom, and he just kept banging on the door for probably 3 to 4 minutes, screaming at me. I called my mum, and she tried calling him. Eventually, a police officer gets there and goes to handcuff my dad. He fought him, and 2 other officers pile on him. He's arrested on aggravated battery and aggravated resisting charges. He was released from jail the next day. No idea why the county decided not to prosecute him. I spoke with an officer a couple of days later about a possible order of protection, and I was told the county usually doesn't prosecute people fighting cops unless an officer gets injured so badly they might have to medically retire. What reminded me about this post was that I checked my credit yesterday, and one of the accounts has come off. Still waiting for the other one, but I think it's just a matter of time. My dad hasn't said a word to me since, and my mum refuses to talk about it. The nice thing is, the rest of my family is completely on my side with this. My credit should recover pretty soon, but I think the relationship with my dad is pretty much over. I'm fine with that. He's a toxic person. I'm just hoping nothing else happens. That the police wouldn't do anything about him fighting police officers. That seems wild to me. What? But anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account and says 32 male. My 28 female wife of 3 years went for a couple's massage with a 29 male colleague and hid it from me. Should I let it go? This happened on a work trip, and I clearly remember that she never mentioned getting a massage, let alone a couple's massage. I only found out a week later when the spa FedExed her anklet that she had left behind. She came clean when I brought it up, but she thinks I'm making a big deal and insists that she told me about getting a massage, just not a couple's massage. Apparently the spa was almost full and had only 1 empty slot, so they decided to go in together. This is so out of character for her. She's always been quite prim and proper, and she's definitely not friendly with this guy. I'd be mad even if she was friends with him. They barely speak to each other at work parties, and he's always been cold to me. We have an amazing marriage, and she's my best friend, but she swears that nothing else happened. But I'm unable to let it go, and she's upset with me for not trusting her. Should I trust my gut instinct, dig deeper, or force myself into believing her? I mean, maybe it's usually me reading one too many Reddit stories, but the line where it said they barely speak to each other at work parties and he's always been cold to me was screaming at me. But as I said, I may have read one too many stories, but at the same time, they went to go for a couple's massage. So they don't know each other that well, but they decided to go in for a couple's massage. All I can say is for myself, I wouldn't be comfortable going to get a massage with someone. I know it's like on a separate table. It's not exactly doing anything with each other, but being in the same room, getting a massage, it wouldn't feel comfortable for myself. Certainly not relaxed, which I'm guessing you'd want to be during a massage. But the fact that this wasn't mentioned to you before says that she knows it was dodgy. Glass Ear says, I would trust your gut. Did you ever think maybe the guy's cold towards you because he's into your wife? Maybe they purposely don't speak to each other in front of you so they don't let their true feelings show. No one just goes for a couple's massage with a work colleague for convenience sake, especially if they are typically prim and proper. I'd be livid if this were my husband. It's a form of cheating in my opinion, and she is gaslighting you. Opie says thank you. I was hoping for a married woman's feedback. Separate Parfait says, if they barely speak to each other, how would they know that the other person was hoping to get a massage? And if it's somebody you barely talk to, why would you want to be half naked in the same room as them? I cannot imagine a scenario where this was innocent. Opie says she said they just bumped into each other at the spa. North Reference says, I was thinking there might be a chance that it was really innocent, but if she's feeding you bullshit like this, she's probably actually cheating on you, to be honest. Opie says I did press on this when I confronted her. We get a massage almost every week and it's always planned in advance. But she said she was traveling. It was like a last minute thing. When I brought up the fact that she never goes to a spa without checking the review, she got angry and said it's a 5-star hotel. It ought to be good. Opie gives information on if the guy from the spa is married or not. Opie says no, he's single but supposedly a ladies' man. As Glorious Mustache says, my opinion, she's lying about the one open spot thing too. There's one opening but they can accommodate 2 people. So there were 2 masseuses available, but only one room. Doubtful. Look, I've had couple massages. They're not overly sexual or sensual. It's literally just getting a massage at the same time as someone else. But she lied by omission when she didn't tell you, and made up a story when you found out purely by accident. Why believe that she's telling the truth now? Jocko Johnson says you don't have an amazing marriage. Majority of people post on here saying they have a great marriage or everything is perfect, but then go on to list major issues. She lied by omission about getting a couple's massage. Doesn't sound so great to me. And the 2 of them are putting on a great show when they're around you to throw you off. And forget about the prim and proper. That's just around you. Or am I completely wrong and nothing is going on and she just didn't think much of it when she stripped down naked with a co-worker to get a couple's massage with a dude that is not you? So then OP came in with her update and says I really can't thank you enough for your support, guys. Getting this off my chest is helping me deal with this better. My friend and I did some digging and things are not looking good. He called the spa pretending to be the colleague and told them he had lost his watch and was trying to retrace his steps. The manager said all they found was her anklet. We also found out the room had a private shower and both therapists left right after the massage and didn't return until much later. I distinctly remembering my wife telling me that there was no private shower and that she went back to her room for a shower. The manager said that she would have the security check the CCTV footage to see if he was wearing his watch when he left, but she never called back. I'm worried that she might have spoken to my wife because she's been love bombing me all morning but turned passive aggressive when she got back from work, and out of the blue her girl gang shows up for drinks. We do host parties quite often but never on a weekday, and my wife never mentioned that she invited them over. I don't know if my mind is playing tricks or if it was a setup because her 2 single friends cleverly steered the conversation towards marriage and told me how much they envy what we have and that we're the ideal couple. Then her guy friend shows up. I don't like him and we've always been formal, but he acts like we're best buds. I'm feeling cornered and I just want to call my friend over, but the wife doesn't want to mix our friends. We usually host them separately, but not always. I got pissed and she goes on to say that she doesn't like the way he looks at her. This is BS. He's an amazing guy. He has a wonderful girlfriend. His friends were like, stop complaining. You're hot, so guys will check you out. You're so lucky to be married to him. He doesn't get jealous, yada yada. I couldn't take it anymore, so I faked the work call and was about to leave, when a guy friend who's sloshed at this point asks me for tips on how to get a girl who's way out of your league. Haha. I acted like I was distracted by the call and left. What do you think's going on? Has she told them something? How do I find out? I went through her iCloud and it's clean, but her credit card says she's paid for the massage and also left a huge tip. It was scheduled 2 days in advance. They were there for a week with 4 other colleagues and 3 of them flew back on the 4th day. Should I talk to the one who stayed back, and if yes, how do I bring it up? I don't want to harm my wife's career in any way. My friend spoke to his lawyer friend and was told that everything we have right now is conjecture. My friend wants me to give her the benefit of the doubt and only confront her if and when we have solid proof. He even offered to fly down to the spa and figure out if she went back to her room to take a shower. I'm not comfortable talking to a private investigator. It's so much more humiliating to discuss this when you are not anonymous. Is there another way I can get solid proof? Not necessarily for legal reasons, but for me to get some finality and move on. I haven't slept in days. I'm not thinking about divorce yet, but for those of you who asked, we have a lot of assets and most of them are shared. She does make a lot of money, but I make significantly more and I've always been more than happy to take care of everything. And we didn't get a prenup. Not sure how this will affect me should we choose to separate. Also, her work party is coming up. I want to skip it, or should I go and act like everything is normal? My friend has suggested I try and be nicer to her colleagues and see if I can get some info out of him. A commenter says to OP on this one, she had a massage partner in your house. Then continues to say, I think you missed the trick when he asked you how to get someone like your wife. I would have responded that you've heard she likes to bond over couples massages. Can you call her bluff? Tell her you've spoken to the hotel and you know she cheated. With this level of distrust, your marriage can't get much worse, I'm afraid. OP says no, this is a friend from college. So, did I read that right? In the first part, it said apparently the spa was almost full and had only one empty slot, so they decided to go in together. But in the update, it said the payment for the massage was scheduled 2 days in advance. So it wasn't something that just happened in the moment. She already booked this. She said there was no shower in the room, but she lied about that also. So they were left in the room by themselves during this moment. Obviously, we can't 100% confirm what happened, of course. But this is signs that we've seen in previous stories where it's basically trickle truthing. You're slowly getting the truth bit by bit. She's lied by omission time and time again. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make? What do you guys think is happening in this story? We may never find out another update because the account was deleted not that long after, but let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Actual Sky 6304 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. It does come with an update as well, and says, Am I the arsehole here for refusing to eat dinner because my husband added unnecessary spices? My 31 female husband, 33 male, take alternate days to cook dinner and clean dinner up. He recently started a medication that is zapping his energy, so I've been cooking and cleaning full time for the past month. It is getting exhausted working full time, cooking every meal, meal prepping, cleaning the whole house, etc. I know it won't be forever, and I'm willing to carry the load while it gets sorted. I was in the middle of prepping the chicken for tonight's dinner, and he offered to take over. At first I said no, it's okay, I'll do it, because he had a stressful workday. He insisted, so I obliged him, but asked that he stick to the spices I have out on the counter, and the ratios, because the chicken will be sauced, and I don't want the spice and sauce to be battling on the plate. He was to use salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and Tony's spice. It was going to be sauced with Panda Express teriyaki sauce. We aren't fine diners, but I wanted it a certain way. He agreed to stick to the plan. I went upstairs to change our sheets and pick the bedroom up. When I came downstairs, the chicken was on the cutting board covered in smoked paprika and red chili flakes. I looked at him and he at me with this "oh shit, I'm caught" look. I said, "Wow, that was disrespectful and I'm not eating that." He scoffed and said, "It's 2 extra spices, it's fine." He followed up with, "I saved the chicken breast in case you saw it before it was cooked. I'll make that one the way you want." I refused to accept that because he looked me in the face and said he wouldn't stray from the plan and then did it anyways in the hopes of not being caught. I'm not a picky eater and will pretty much eat anything, but I can't get past the blatant disrespect on this. I know some of my emotions are coming from the exhaustion of carrying the team right now, but I still don't think this makes me the arsehole. Does it? Edit to clarify on the extra chicken breast. He didn't intentionally keep the chicken breast out for me if I didn't like his spice choice. I de-thawed the extra chicken for tomorrow's meal and was planning on using it later. He concocted the idea of he wanted the chicken a certain way. He sees extra chicken, so why not do it his way? And if I don't want it, he has a plan B. In the comment, Shell Strob says, as they say here, this is not about the Iranian yogurt. You need to sit down with your husband when you're both calm and rested and actually talk to each other. Communicate your feelings to each other. This isn't about going crazy with spices and chicken. That's the symptom, not the issue. Polo says, this one boggles me. Why didn't he just split the chicken into 2 portions? Cook one the way he likes and the other the way you wanted it. Why did he have to cook all of it his way? Celtic Musebook says, not the arsehole, smoked paprika and teriyaki sauce. Yikes on bikes, that sounds awful. Not the arsehole, but your husband is. You've been picking up his slack for his medical conditions and he tried to sabotage your meal and hide it from you like a 4-year-old. One more comment from Lady who says, so he wasn't helping with your planned meal. He was taking over. Okay, so now you know that he feels well enough to take over some things. Maybe not everything, but certainly some of it. Go back to your cooking plan at the very least. Take something off your list and you can more easily deal with other stuff. I do have to say, he can help with meal planning. That is work, but it can be done together and while standing in the kitchen. What do we have? What do we need? What do we want? He can have a chair if he needs it. Not being facetious. If his energy is down that low, then it's a way for him to be present without overextending. He needs to talk to his doctor about the fact that the new meds are taking his energy away. He might have also to deal with the next med switch. Transitions between meds aren't always fun. Not the arsehole. I hope you can get to a better team dynamic soon. So OP added their updates. That said, not sure if this is the best place to update or if I make an edit to the post, but in any event, to answer a few questions. Did my husband like his food? No. He told me the chicken breast he made the way that I requested it was better. It's not really about the spices, I'm aware of that. There are bigger things afoot. But I was really made to feel like I was blowing it out of proportion by not eating it. That I rinsed the chicken off. No, I let him cook it and have it his way. Do we have different spice levels? We are pretty even keel on this, but not really the issue. I like smoked paprika and red chili flakes. They just didn't have a place in the dish. Final update. My husband and I spoke about the disagreement and some bigger things at play, and we plan to talk again tomorrow. We have more time to sit and work out a plan. We've been married for 13 years. Yes, we married very young, and this isn't our first rodeo. We basically became adults together, so we know a thing or two about hard times and good times. We're currently watching our 88-year-old grandmother while the main caregiver is on vacation, so we don't have time to dig deeper into what's going on at a bigger level, but plan to tomorrow after she is picked up in the evening. Thanks everyone for your thoughts and opinions. A couple of the top comments from that. Angel says, it's great you're having a conversation and it seems it isn't a pattern of his to listen to you and do something else. So maybe he just really wanted to try those spices together. But well, he saw how that went. Hope you find a wonderful marriage and get a I told you so thrown in there. Adventurous says, so he used the chicken breast for tomorrow's dinner, seasoned it the way you requested, and then ate it when he didn't like the chicken he ruined. While you're not the arsehole, your husband very much is one. Win Accomplished says, of course he didn't like his chicken. Those spices literally don't belong in that dish. He was trying to prove something and ended up looking foolish. Wild. Now, our next story comes from Zesty Close Hat 7274 and says, am I the arsehole telling my sister it is her fault that she missed our grandfather's funeral? My 26 male grandfather recently passed away after suffering from Alzheimer's for years. While it was sad, I knew he would be happier wherever he was going. During the planning of his funeral, my sister and I discussed who would attend, and she mentioned bringing her girlfriend. I've always been openly supportive of my sister, 22 female, and her relationship, but our family isn't. They haven't met her girlfriend and aren't wanting to, so I didn't think it was a good idea. I told my sister that bringing her girlfriend to the funeral would cause drama. She got upset. She said she doesn't feel safe without her girlfriend there. I offered to stay with her during the entire service if she felt uncomfortable around certain family members, but she insisted on bringing her girlfriend. She said they're engaged, so her girlfriend is basically family whether others like it or not. I told her it seemed like she just wanted drama and that if she felt she had to bring her girlfriend, she might as well not go because the funeral wasn't about her and her girlfriend but about our grandfather. My sister got very emotional, which made me feel bad, but I didn't think a funeral was the place to introduce her girlfriend to the family. My sister left and ended up not attending the funeral. It's been almost a week since the funeral. I called my sister to check on her since we hadn't spoken since our disagreement. She wanted to know about our grandfather's service, so I recapped everything. Then she started getting upset, saying she wished she could have been there. This made me angry because she could have been there. So I explained that she chose not to attend because she wanted to bring someone to intentionally cause drama. This turned into another argument, and her girlfriend ended up taking her phone and hanging up on me, throwing in a jab about me being a bad brother. I feel like I could have handled the situation better, but I tried to offer countless solutions to my sister. Am I the arsehole? And we're starting the comments with Irrelevant Manatee, who says you're the arsehole. Your sister didn't create drama. Your family and you did. Your sister is just who she is and wanted to attend an event with her partner. What ruined it is the fact that you cared more about protecting the feelings of bigots and homophobes instead of caring for your own sister. Your sister has every right to be pissed at you. Designer Bedroom replies that saying, I agree with everything you said, but it's not that simple. I don't think he was trying to protect the feelings of homophobes. He was trying to keep his grandfather's funeral drama free. Doesn't the grandfather deserve to rest in peace? What if the grandfather didn't approve either, and in that case, why would she want to go at all? The sister isn't completely innocent either, because she could have attended with her brother. She shouldn't have to, but again, grandparent funeral. Sister has the right to be mad, but the deceased has the right to be put to rest in peace. It doesn't seem like OP is homophobic, and if he didn't care about his sister, he wouldn't have called to see how she was doing. This is just so sad. Edit. Guys, a lot of you believe that the funeral is for the living, not the dead, and it's your right. However, try to remember that the living in this case, grandmother, parents, and other family are homophobics. If OP is concerned about his sister, then I assume it's because he knows how hurt she could have been. Otherwise, why would anyone admit publicly how horrible their family is? Most people are assuming that as emotional, homophobic people can be rational. Sister and fiancé would have been attacked, and OP would have bigger problems to deal with. Again, these are not nice people. Book Grant says, not the arsehole, and I'm gay. Lol. I know homophobes suck, but y'all pick your fucking battles. If OP's sister thinks standing up for her girlfriend is more important to her than showing up at her grandfather's funeral, then good for her. I too would have made that choice. But to then act as if she was somehow prevented from showing up when she wasn't is childish. Another commenter says, not the arsehole, will preface this with an admission. I'm gay and have unsupportive family. This has nothing to do with keeping the unsupportive family happy, but respecting the grandfather's memory by not creating a scene at his funeral, and respecting the fiancé by not forcing them into a hostile situation because you feel unsafe. Using this moment, a solemn, sad moment of reflection, grief, and loss to introduce your new partner, girlfriend, wife to your family is selfish. Not only after putting your partner in an awkward spot, having to not only introduce themselves to hostile people, but support you through a grieving process. It really does feel like she is using this opportunity for her own gain rather than respecting your grandfather's memory. She disrespected her girlfriend by expecting her to attend the funeral of a man she never met and face off against people who are hostile towards them. She complained and was fishing for a response that aligned with her expectations. She didn't get it. In the end, she chose to not attend because she couldn't get her own way. Openyen says, you're the arsehole and your family are bigots. Congratulations on confirming that you're also a bigot to your sister. Excluding her partner was crappy and offensive. She would not cause drama. Only the bigots would cause drama. Maybe the bigots shouldn't have been invited. And the comments literally were going back and forth between not the arsehole and you're the arsehole for the reasons just mentioned. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Moist Hospital, and before we do get into it, I do want to give you a warning. It does contain talk of losing a pet. So if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. Now it's titled, Would I Be the Arsehole for Grave Robbing Our Family Pet? Our dog passed 3 days ago. She predated my daughter and even my wife, so it was especially hard on me. We had a little burial in our backyard where my daughter ate, said a few words. We put her favorite blanket and a toy in the coffin I made, and I buried her. But unbeknownst to me, my daughter snuck in another toy. I had a stuffed penguin I've had for nearly 15 years. It was something I bought for my previous dog before she passed, and this new dog played with it a lot too. I wanted to keep this toy forever because it represented 2 dogs I've owned, not just the one. I kept it on my home office desk and had no intention of ever getting rid of it. I guess my daughter thought it should be with her too, so she took it, put it in the coffin, and I buried it. I only found out today after asking her where the penguin went. Obviously, I'm not going to get mad at her for this, but is cut deep. No fault of her own, she didn't know, but I'm left with a hard decision. I think tonight, when everyone's asleep, I'm going to dig up the coffin, pry it open, get the penguin back, and then rebury the coffin. I made mention of this to my wife, as a joke to gauge her reaction, and she said it was a dark joke and no sane person would do that. I might have to do it and never tell her or anyone else. Would I be the arsehole for grave robbing our family pet to retrieve this stuffed penguin? So OP first adds a picture of the penguin and says, I got it. I didn't get much time alone with my dog after she passed. I couldn't say anything at the funeral because my daughter said something beautiful I couldn't follow up. As macabre as it sounds, this is the closure I needed. Getting to spend 10 minutes saying anything I wanted to my puppy. We covered her in a blanket so I didn't see her. I just saw the penguin, grabbed it, said my spiel and then reburied her. There was no smell or anything. I'm gonna be honest, it hurts. It still does. It only made my grieving worse doing this, but I know I'll always have a memento with me. What if we move, or there's a flood, or our house burns down? I'll have very little but memories. At least now I have something of hers I can cherish forever. First commenter says to OP, do what you have to do. I have my sweet dog's collar and I'm not reusing it. It's hanging here as a memento to the good girl she was. I needed that collar to keep a piece of her like you need the penguin. I'm sorry for your loss. S says, I actually agreed with everyone else who said don't do it, so I'm not going to even pretend to say I understand and I can imagine the grief and hurt you're going through now. So I'll just say, I'm glad you found the closure you needed and I hope you'll find peace as well. Because I can't help but think any day now we'll see a new post. Am I the arsehole for not speaking to my husband after he robbed my dog's grave? SLR says, man, you are not thinking right. Look at what you said. What if we move, or there's a flood, or the house burns down? You think that toy is going to magically escape all those things unscathed. And on top of that, you're bringing a stuffed toy that has definitely been contaminated by decomp, whether you smelled anything or not, into the house where your wife and young daughter are. Beyond all that, they will all know you dug up your family pet to take the toy out. You really want your daughter to think her daddy is stealing from your dead dog. I really doubt your wife is going to have any good thoughts here either. I'm not going to call you an arsehole because grief can make people do some fucked up shit sometimes. But you seriously need to re-examine your thinking and processes around this. OP, when asked if someone finds it, OP says, they'll probably never find out. My wife and I both have our own individual safes in our basement. Mr. Penguin went straight into mine. So OP did update the post around 2 months later and said, I wanted to make an update on my Am I the Arsehole post. I couldn't keep it a secret for very long and told my wife. She was livid, but it blew over the next day. She said she doesn't want it in the house or anything else for that matter. She said she wanted it in the ground with our dog, but didn't want me to go through that again. So we keep it in my safe for the time being. It's never to be brought out, especially shown to our daughter, who is not going to be made aware. I decided to seek some professional help as per the suggestion of one poster, and I've been told I have diagnosed depression. They asked me 20 some odd questions, and the only one I didn't answer yes to was things like harm. My doctor advised me to hold off getting another pet until I can fully grieve. It's hard because my last dog was bought by my parents and lived with the family until I moved out and brought it with me. This one that just passed, I did all the work. I drove to get her, paid for her, I did everything. There's reoccurring feelings of guilt. I didn't do as good as I could have, and I nitpick on things I've done wrong in the past regarding the dog. It's not healthy for me to have another one, at least for now. It's probably the hardest situation I've been in my whole life, and it was playing with my head so much I did what I did. I'm considering a penguin tattoo, as memorial likewise as someone suggested. Oh, this was such a difficult, sad post at the same time, and when I first read the title I thought it was going to be someone that was literally taking like the family pet out of their grave and then taking it to a new location. I thought, oh, this ain't going to end well, but it turned out just to be getting like a sentimental item out of that grave. I was thinking to myself, would I do it? Probably not, but I understand where he was coming from at the same time. Like the comment said, like I've said in previous stories, grief makes us do all kinds of weird stuff to find comfort in losing, in this case, a family pet. And the item was very sentimental to him. I sort of got while the wife was side-eyeing this and thinking, whoa, hold on, don't be doing that kind of thing. Because at the same time, I brought him some comfort. And, I don't mean this to sound horrible in saying it. The dog's not going to miss it. But in the end, I'm glad OP did go talk to a professional, got diagnosed when he did, and hopefully gets to tackle his grief and loss. It takes time, and, it probably never fully goes away. But dealing with it in as a healthy way as possible is the best way forward. Come on now. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account and says, my 35 female husband, 36 male, admitted to cheating with his best friend, 36 male. I'm not mad and I don't know why. Any advice would help. I, 35 female, have been married to my husband for a bit under 10 years now. We have no children. Yesterday night after dinner, my husband Jay broke down and admitted he's been sleeping with his childhood best friend, Pete, for quote, a while now, longer than I want to say. It was the first time I've seen him cry in more than 2 years over something serious. Jake is the kind that cries over dogs dying in shows, but is stony silent at tragedy. However, I'm not mad. I'm not even sure I care. I do love my husband more than anything in the world, and I don't want to leave him. I can't move on. I can't stay like this, and I don't want to. But Jay has said he won't stop seeing Pete, no matter what I choose. He's sorry for doing this to me, and he has said he loves me, and I'm his wife and heart, but Pete means the same to him. Basically, he can't choose. He loves us both. It falls to me to choose, and I don't know what to do. Honestly, the bit that hurts the most is the fact that Pete is a good friend of mine, but he couldn't face me himself, instead let Jay break down in front of me. Sorry this turned into a rant. Any advice would help, if anyone's gone through something similar. Quite simply in this one, I would leave. I mean, whenever I think of these stories, I always think of the trust. He was sneaking off behind your back, and it just kind of feels to me like at the moment you're in shock from what's happened. You said you don't feel anything. I just feel like that's your brain trying to protect you from the hurt that he's just causing you right now. And I just feel like if you was to stay with him, he's just going to hurt you further down the line. He's going to make that choice with Pete or whatever. But OP edits the post and said, it's come up a bit, so my husband has been openly bisexual since before I even met him. Peter is bi or pan. He's dated guys and girls and other in the past. No one in the last 3 years to my knowledge. I'm straight. Edit 2, since apparently I have no self-esteem, I guess I couldn't possibly have 4 degrees, a PhD, make roughly 120k a year, be the main provider for the household, run my own business and go to the gym twice a week. I know I look good. I actually have a rather large ego about myself. This honestly has nothing to do with self-esteem. I don't know where it reads that I'm a poor little girl who got in over her head by a big strong man. But I can bench press Jay and wait. I know what I'm worth, and I know I want Jay, so. First commenter says, leave. Opie says, I don't know if I should though. We're happy. We can still be happy. Throwing that away seems, I don't know. Snoo Recipes replies saying, so you don't mind sharing your husband? How many nights a week will you get to be with him, or will his friend be moving in with you? Opie says, I don't know. He's managed to be with Pete enough in the time we currently have. I don't know how it would have changed if I stayed. Mock says, what I don't understand is, why don't you want better for yourself? He told you he doesn't care if you stay or leave, but Pete, he stays. I think he cares about his relationship with Pete. How'd you stay with someone who doesn't care if you stay? He doesn't want to fight for this relationship. You yourself said you don't care that he cheated. You're financially independent. What's keeping you from just ending it and moving on? You say you love him, but if you did, wouldn't you care that he's cheated for years with a person you considered a friend? Wouldn't you care that he's chosen his relationship with Pete as the one he can't let go of? That's a good point, isn't it? OP says, must be how I wrote this post, sorry. Jay does care, he just can't choose and doesn't want to force me to choose. He's staying at a friend's house, not Pete's. I double checked, he's staying with a married couple of a lesbian friend we have, so he's not cheating with them, right now. So I have the house in quote, as long as I need to do anything. Is it bad that I don't really care that he cheated? I have some heartache of the lies and who it was with. Not that it was a man, but Pete. The actual cheating itself doesn't bother me too much, and I honestly think I could just move on, ignore it, or somehow work with it. The OP came in with an update and said, "Hi all, some of you are about to lose your shit. Side note, I chose to cancel my meeting with Pete. After reading all your advice, I chose to ask for space, which he, Jay, 36 male, freely gave. He was staying at a friend's house when I called. I couldn't face him yet and asked. This helped to confirm what I already knew. He was indeed staying with our mutual friends, a married lesbian, both 36 female couple. So he didn't run to Pete, 36 male, as some of you thought. I was leaning towards separation after reading your advice. Well, a few days after I requested space, I decided to ask for separation officially. Cut a long and ice cream and tear-filled 3 weeks short, I caved and called him. I did not beg for him back or anything like that. I asked him out for a walk and we had a long talk. It was a fair while ago, so I can't word for word type what was said, but it boiled down to this. 1. I still love him no matter what. 2. He still loves me no matter what. 3. He loves Pete no matter what. 4. He does not value either of us above the other. When he spoke about me leaving him but not leaving Pete, he was giving me an out more than anything else. Jay would be destroyed if I chose to leave, but he didn't want me to stay if I truly didn't want to, which is why he didn't beg for me to stay. After this talk, we stayed separate for a few more days. About 7 weeks ago, Jay moved back home and Pete came over for dinner. That talk was longer, harder, and contained more personal details that I do not want to share here. But the points were as follows. Jay and Pete have not been together as long as I feared. It's about 28 months. That's a long ass time, what the hell? Not since they were teens. Pete truly didn't want me to get hurt, and he was the one pushing Jay to be honest with me. Pete is gay, but he dated girls in the past. Neither of us are attracted to each other and we're not together. We're all going to individual and couples and group therapy. Couples are each of us as, me and Jay need to work on our marriage and emotions, Pete and Jay need to work out the secrecy and talk through their own relationship, and Pete and I want to work on working together. Something I should have mentioned, but didn't due to the fact I know how Reddit would react, is I am asexual. I'm not in any way sexually attracted to my husband or anyone for that matter. However, I choose to have sex with him as I know he enjoys it. I still have a libido, I just don't feel the need to have sex. When I have sex with Jay, rarely, once every 2-ish months, it isn't a chore, but a more intimate cuddle. Jay knows this and has known this for our entire marriage. In fact, he was the one who helped me figure out I was asexual. If this is hard for you to understand, remember attraction does not equal choices. Asexuals will be blocked with no reply. Honest questions can be answered. So yeah, that's my story. I can take further questions in the comments. So, Mock says, sorry, I'm a bit confused. Are you guys a throuple minus the sex? Or did you get back together with Jay and accept he has sex with Pete? Also, does that mean you now don't have to have sex with Jay out of obligation anymore? Because he's getting his needs met by Pete. OP says, me and Pete are not together. I don't know if I will have sex with Jay again. It's something I'm working on in therapy. Now, when OP was talking about being the breadwinner, I was thinking, is that what Jay is really after here? You know, if OP's the breadwinner and taking care of most of the stuff, Jay doesn't want to lose that. But, you know, regardless in all of this, it's incredibly messy. And I come back once again to the trust issue. 28 months. This guy's been cheating behind your back. Yet he said he values you both as equals. Bullshit. I hate to say it, but it just feels like, you know, it's a disaster waiting to happen. And I hope you do realize that, OP, because you deserve better than that. It's as simple as that, in my opinion. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, not updated as yet, from No Mushroom 3470, and says, Am I the arsehole for going to the police immediately when I found out my parents took out debt in my name? My parents took out credit cards and loans in my name. It was fine when they were paying the bills, but they got behind. I didn't have a key to the mailbox, so I never saw the bills or anything. I just finished my 3rd year of university and I was going to move out. That would require me to get a credit check and stuff. My parents freaked out and forbid me from moving out. They said it was stupid that I would waste money on moving out when I could save money living at home. They didn't like my boyfriend, so I thought that was their issue, but I was wrong. Long story short, I'm about $60,000 in debt because of them. I cannot afford to pay that off. I told them that they needed to clear the debt immediately and change the house rules so my boyfriend could spend the night. They said that they didn't have the money to pay the debt and I could not strong arm them into changing the rules of their house. I called my auntie and asked her if I could please come stay with her for a bit. She let me and asked a lot of questions. Then she showed me a dozen Reddit posts about parents screwing up their kids' future and kids allowing it. I went to the police and reported it. My parents got arrested and charged. They're furious with me. I know they didn't spend the money on me. I do not know what they did spend it on. I don't care. I feel bad for them, but I'm not letting them fuck up my future. Am I the arsehole? Man, another set of parents willing to fuck up their children's future. I always find that mad that they go down this route, but particular banana says not the arsehole. It was fine when they were paying the bills. No, it wasn't. It is identity fraud and it is illegal. Put a freeze on your credit and monitor your reports from now on. Tell them you're furious with them as well. Opal says no, you are not the arsehole. Your parents committed fraud by taking out debt in your name without your knowledge, which has put your financial future at risk. Reporting them to the police was necessary to protect yourself from further harm and hold them accountable for their actions. You have every right to take legal action and prioritize your own well-being in this situation. Liquid Snake says, not the arsehole OP. Not only are you well within your rights to do this, but it's imperative for your financial health to report identity theft to the police. No matter what your parents or any of your extended family tells you, stay the course and make sure that this debt is cleared. Yes, that means your parents will go to prison for a long time, but that's what they deserve because this is a crime that destroys lives. Also, do not under any circumstances make any payments on this debt. Doing so will only make it harder for you to get it cleared. Good luck, OP. I always find it like trying to think of what's going through their heads that first time they get a credit card or loan of some sort in their name. Are they thinking along the lines, oh, don't worry, we'll pay it back, and then it snowballs? Or are they just thinking, not our problem kind of thing? I just find that absolutely bizarre. Not that I'm excusing it either way, just trying to think of the actual thought process, But now, what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit from Weird But Okay, who says, Am I the arsehole for prioritizing my sister's wedding over my girlfriend's birthday after she gave me an ultimatum? My girlfriend Lisa and I have been together for 2 years. Her birthday is coming up and she's been planning a big celebration with friends and family for months. It's a milestone birthday for her and she's really excited about it because she's always felt her birthdays haven't been celebrated properly in the past. Here's where it gets complicated. My sister Jane just announced her wedding date and it's the same weekend as Lisa's birthday. Jane and her fiance had to move their wedding up due to some family health issues, and now it's a small, intimate ceremony that means a lot to her. Jane asked me to be part of the wedding party, and as her only sibling, it's important for me to be there. When I broke the news to Lisa, she was devastated. She feels that her birthday should be a priority, especially since I've known about it for so long. She's also hurt because she's planned this big event with her closest people, and my absence would be noticeable. I suggested celebrating her birthday a day earlier or later, or even me flying back the next morning, but she wasn't having any of it. Things escalated when Lisa gave me an ultimatum. Either I attend her birthday party, or we are done. She feels that this is a test of my commitment to our relationship and argues that if I loved her, I would prioritize her special day. I explained that my sister's wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event and I can't miss it, but she insists I'm choosing my family over her. Now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. My family thinks it's obvious I should go to my sister's wedding, but some of our mutual friends say that Lisa has a point and that birthdays are important milestones in a relationship. I don't want to hurt either of them, but I can't be in two places at once. Am I the arsehole for prioritizing my sister's wedding over my girlfriend's birthday after she gave me an ultimatum? Edit. Little update. After this post, I texted and called her out on her behavior, and now she is crying, saying I don't even care for her. I'm trying to calm her down, but she is really crying a lot. Did a little video call to see her face. I don't know what to do, bruh. Edit. A little more update. I think now she's calmed down a bit and is understanding my point of view. I said I'll either try to rush things and be on both sides for a small time, or we'll celebrate a grand one next time/day whenever she likes. Now she said okay, and then wrote a long-ass emotional paragraph on how much she loves me. After reading that, even I got emotional. I don't know if it was genuine or not though. The people asking it will be her 21st. And we have a further update in a moment. So on the back of this one, Fierce Femme asks OP, they said, did your sister move it up to that weekend knowing about the birthday weekend, or did they just move it up and didn't realize until you told them it was the same date as her birthday? OP says the latter. They don't even know it's her birthday. Fierce Femme replied and says, so my not the arsehole still stands, and that it's a red flag that she's giving you an ultimatum. Private Crush says, go to the wedding. You'll break up with Lisa at some point because compromise is not in her vocabulary. You won't want to look back on choosing the party over the wedding. Plus, if you have a seriously ill family member, you don't want to miss a family get-together. OP says indeed, that's what I thought, and texted her a while ago about her behavior. Now she's crying, saying that I don't care for her. Any advice as to what to give her as a solid reply? Kinky Nicole says, just tell her that you do care about her, but she doesn't seem to care enough about you to even try and compromise with you on attending both. Since she gave you an ultimatum, you chose your sister and your sick family members. Because if you chose her, you'd resent her for missing out on the special day for your sister and end up leaving her anyway. Jaws and S'mores says, sounds like you guys are just done. She's felt most of her birthdays have been ignored and wants this milestone birthday to be special. And that's valid. She's planned it in advance and now you're backing out. With pretty good reason. But she has a point that her birthday party was planned and you committed. I wouldn't do what she's doing. I almost never celebrate my birthday on the exact day, but I don't know. I kind of see her point of view. She wants to feel special and prioritized, and by your pending actions will feel the exact opposite. That said, your sister moved up the date for a pretty solid reason, and you're her only sibling, so that does trump a birthday party. Just take her up on the ultimatum because either she meant it and you guys are done, or she's manipulative and that's not good. Not the arsehole. I can understand being a bit bummed out if you've planned a day and you're looking forward to a special day like that, but when you know the reason, especially a wedding being brought forward because of family health issues, in my opinion, that trumps a birthday party like that. Obviously it sucks. It sucks that you won't be having that party, but to give an ultimatum on the back of that as well. Basically, if I was in the girlfriend's position, I would totally understand where OP is coming from and would want to support them in that way. But then again, I'm not someone who gets super excited about birthday planning and all that sort of stuff. You know, I could do it any day really. But OP came in with her update and says, first, thank you all for your feedback on my original post. I decided to go to my sister Jane's wedding, but things have gotten a bit more complicated since then. When I told Lisa that I'll be attending the wedding, she was understandably upset and cried a lot. She love-bombed me, showering me with affection and promises, and finally agreed that we could celebrate her birthday the next day. I thought we'd come to a reasonable compromise. During the wedding weekend, Lisa texted and called constantly with various problems. She claimed her car had broken down and she didn't know what to do. Then she said she had an urgent work issue she needed my help with. At one point, she sent me a series of frantic messages about our dog acting strangely, only to later admit he was perfectly fine. Lisa also pulled some weird stunts to disturb me. She sent a food delivery to my hotel room with a note saying, "Wish you were here," and even called the hotel pretending to be me to leave a message saying my presence was needed at home urgently. It was bizarre and stressful, but I tried to stay focused on supporting my sister. When I got back, I went straight to see Lisa. She kissed and hugged me a lot, acting overly affectionate. However, since then, she'd been continuously taunting me about ignoring her for the wedding. She makes passive-aggressive comments like, "I guess family is more important than I am," and "Hope Jane's wedding was worth abandoning me." I'm at a loss for how to feel. On one hand, I understand she felt neglected, but on the other hand, her behavior during the wedding was extremely disruptive. Yet sometimes she loves and seduces me like I doubt anyone can ever do it that lovely. Our relationship feels quite complicated, and I'm not sure how to move forward. Thank you all for your advice on my previous post. I'm trying to navigate the situation, but it's been tough. Critical Simple says on that one, there are more red flags in Lisa's behavior than at a Communist Party meeting. Get out while you can. Ash Prostato replies to that saying, more red flags than Minesweeper on hard. Our season says, look man, she's really showing you who she is. That is what life is going to be like with her, whereby she expects everything to revolve around her. If you want to sign up for that, then go ahead, but I'd personally cut bait. Ad Euphoric says, I agree. This woman is not only immature, but a manipulator. Anything that doesn't go her way, expect this dramatic, crazy behavior. It's way out of the bounds of normal. She needs help. That would have been me checked out of that relationship as soon as she started pulling those schemes when you went to the wedding. Sounds absolutely batshit crazy to me. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you have picked to begin with? The birthday? The wedding? Was there some other compromise? How would you have dealt with the behavior afterwards? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Objective National 517, who says, am I the arsehole here for telling my fiance there will be no wedding if she keeps insisting I invite my parents? So, some backstory. My dad left the family and went no contact when I, 35 male, was 4. My mum remarried and had 2 kids with my stepdad. My stepdad never treated me poorly, but always made clear that I was Dale, fake name to him. He was not my dad. My mum never tried to fix a relationship and honestly loved her new family and always saw me as a burden. That's what I thought, at least, until it was confirmed after my freshman year of college when my mum asked me not to come home anymore. I blocked her after that phone call and have had no contact with her or my stepdad and half-brother since then. I do still speak to my half-sister, 25 female, at her insistence, but that's my only contact. It took me a long time to deal with basically being kicked out of my family. I grew to be pretty independent and thought I'd live alone until I met my fiance, 28 female, 4 years ago. We've had a great relationship and her family opened up and invited me in with open arms. She comes from a pretty typical suburban family and they are great. Over the years, I've told her about my issues with my family. She has met my sister and she never pushed for more, until we started planning the wedding. When we started talking about who we'd invite, I talked about friends from college and co-workers, and she kept saying that I should invite my parents. At first, I thought she was trying to gauge if I wanted to. I said I would not be inviting my parents. She said okay, then brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they hurt me, how growing up feeling you were unwanted and then having it confirmed at 19 really stunted my mental health. That over the years I've realized it's their problem, and if they want to solve it, they can initiate, but I am in contact with my sister, and it's clear they're happy insisting I don't exist. It sucks, but it's their problem that they have thrust onto me. I can't be the one to solve it. I thought it had ended, but she has brought it up 2 more times. The last one was last night. We're about to start the save the dates and she said, are you sure you don't want to invite your parents? I feel like I might just invite them on my side. And I snapped. I told her we should probably just throw the invitations away because if you can't respect what I've been through, then I don't want to marry you. I then went to our bedroom and fumed for a while. She came in to try to talk to me and I walked out, grabbed my keys and left. I came back around 11 PM after hanging with friends and slept on the couch. She left for work without a word to me, and I don't know where we stand. Her behavior is unacceptable, but I feel like I may have gone too far. What do you all think? Am I the arsehole here? But there were some comments to the OP with replies. First one said, she's already in contact with your parents. This particular kind of obliviousness doesn't start with asking permission, but rather begging forgiveness. OP says, I don't think so. I go to dinner or talk with my sister every Thursday night, and she would hint if my mum and Dale wanted to reconcile. They don't. They honestly are happier pretending I don't exist. Another commenter says, I don't think you're the arsehole, but saying this probably hurt her quite a bit, especially if she's well-intentioned. Please know what I'm saying is coming from a place of having horrible drug-addicted parents myself. People with parents that abandoned them / didn't care for them are understandably very sensitive when someone tries to push us on the issue. We spend our lives having to build our own foundation and walls to build our emotional houses. Threatening that house is something that can cause us to react significantly more aggressive than it necessarily warrants. Your future wife sees the situation from a perspective of coming from a happy family. She wants your wedding to be an opportunity for you to have reconciliation and a new fulfilling start. She wants your future children to know both sets of grandparents. That does not make her right for continuing to bring it up, but unlike a lot of the responses in here, I highly doubt her intentions are malicious. So when you threaten to break off the marriage for something where she feels she's wanting to help you in earnest, it's going to sting quite a bit. My wife is also from a loving family. There are things she doesn't understand, even with detailed explanation. That's okay. In a way, I love the blind spot, but sometimes it can cause situations like what you were describing. I think it might be good to take a step back. Sounds like you two care about each other quite a bit. Apologize for threatening to break up the marriage in the heat of the moment. Assure her that you love her. Explain how serious it is that you do not want to be in contact with those people. Be wary of these knee-jerk Reddit responses. Don't throw your life away because of what idiots on the internet say how things should or shouldn't be. Relationships take a lot of flexibility and humility. OP responded to that and said thank you. This is very helpful. But OP did come back in to update the post and said, I'm very overwhelmed by the response. So many thoughtful responses. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond. I thought I would give an update. My fiance normally gets home around 5:30 PM. So after I was done working, I worked from home, I waited for her to show up. Got very worried when it was 6 and she still wasn't home. But around 6:15, she shows up with my sister, which was a big surprise. While my sister and I connect every Thursday, we live 45 minutes away from each other, so her popping by is not normal. Both of them looked very anxious, so I was very confused. I asked them what was going on, and my sister just burst into tears and saying she's sorry. After like 5 minutes of her losing her shit, she starts talking about the family. So apparently, when she told my mum and Dale that I got engaged, it started a rift between them. Not because they cared about me, but about how my half-brother, which is 27, is still living at home, single, with no steady job. If you're thinking, wow, they kicked you out at 19 but let him stay there past when he could rent a car. Don't worry, I said it out loud. My mum apparently wants to do the same to my half-brother, but Dale won't let her. So they're currently separated, with my mum living with family and refusing to come back until my half-brother is out of the house. For some reason that defies all logic, and reason my sister thinks getting an invite to my wedding will bring the family together, since it was my engagement that caused the rift. At this, I blew up a bit. I told her that my engagement had nothing to do with it, that their shitty parenting and poor relationship skills caused it, and don't put that shit on me. She cried even harder, and this time I was not going to console her. My fiance is just sitting there the whole time while my sister is trying to get herself together. I questioned my fiance about this. She also tears up a bit but tells me that my sister was telling her about how I always bring up family on our Thursday, that deep down I wanted to repair the relationship. I asked how she could believe that when I was very clear that I was no contact with my family and had never imagined wanting to be in contact. I told her that I tell her everything and would never hold back something like this without talking to her. She's always been my sounding board. When I switched jobs last year, we talked about it every night and her advice mattered more than anyone else. She apologized and then wanted to show me her phone, specifically the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister perks up and asks her not to show the phone conversation, but my fiance tells her she's trying to save her relationship. My sister has just been straight up lying about our Thursday conversations, saying how I was always talking about reconciling, how I would never admit it, but I'm partially at fault too, how I really want to see them all again. Every time I would tell my fiancée no, she would text my sister, and my sister would talk about how I just couldn't be open because I was embarrassed. Just completely false. I'd be perfectly happy never seeing any of them again. I can't believe my sister still sees them. At this, I tell my half-sister to leave and that Thursdays are cancelled. My sister puts up a little bit of a fight, but I ignore her until she leaves. She keeps saying sorry over and over again, but honestly, I'm done with her. I've blocked her and will be no contact with her for the time being. A complete betrayal of my feelings and relationship. As for my fiancé and I'm still very upset. She went behind my back with my sister, never asked me about it, let my sister manipulate her and honestly hurt me. I told her I love her, but my trust is broken. We've agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we can repair the relationship. I hope we can, but I'd say it's a toss-up for me. She's got a lot of work to do. And there was a selection of comments below that update. Darling Diva says, honestly, I see both sides here, but lean towards caution with your fiancé. She may have had good intentions, trying to mend what she thought was a misunderstanding or fixable family rift, but good intentions don't always lead to good outcomes. Yes, she should have communicated more clearly with you about her conversations with your half-sister, but it seems likely that she was trying to create a harmonious wedding day for you, even if it was misguided. It's true that she might not grasp the full dynamics of such a dysfunctional family situation, not having experienced it herself, but empathy should have guided her to heed your feelings and concerns as a paramount. In a healthy relationship, your partner should respect your perspectives, especially regarding family trauma. Transparency and trust are foundations here. Both need repair. Contribution for a friend says, oh, sister. She is nuts thinking a wedding will fix anything. And lying to your fiancé. Why didn't she ask you about this especially? Honey, I talked with your sister and I'm confused about this. Can we talk deeper? The end. Postpone the wedding because I bet somehow someone will gossip more to your mother and Dale. I wouldn't answer the door or unknown numbers. Competitive Purpose says, I was not expecting your half-sister to be the root cause for your fiancé suggesting you invite your family to your wedding. I think going no contact with her is best for your mental health because I couldn't get past someone trying to destroy my own relationship for their personal gain. Depending on when your wedding date is, you may decide to postpone the wedding a few months to give you and your fiancé time to strengthen your relationship again. But I think it's a great idea doing couples counseling, since it wasn't your fiancé's idea to invite your family to your wedding alone. I think you'll be more likely to trust her fully again. Good luck, OP. One more comment which says, had your fiancé been open and honest about the conversation she was having with your sister, this could have all been avoided. But since she decided to have two separate conversations, one with you and one with your sister, they decided to stage an intervention instead. If my husband or I were in a situation like this, 100% we'd have told the other what sister was saying. The fact that your fiancé didn't is cause for concern. She wasn't duped. She went behind your back and is playing it off as an innocent mistake. Had she asked once and dropped it, it'd have been one thing, but she was relentless in trying to get them invited. I believe if this was for your benefit, she should have had you know the entire time. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? If you was the OP, how would you deal with it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from both the groom and the bride of this story. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole? I, 38 male, for telling my fiancée, female 27, her wedding dress choice is way too extravagant and suggesting alternatives. And it started off with the groom's post and said, sorry on mobile and throwaway, as she's a Redditor. We're getting married in July of this year. The venue is booked and the wedding is pretty much sorted. Emma has been researching dresses and has a little scrapbook of lots of dresses she likes for ideas, but is now looking to buy. All that's left is to get the bridesmaids' dresses and her wedding dress. We jointly put aside $10,000 each for the wedding. Everything is paid and we have $6,000 left over, which I think could go towards the honeymoon, on top of the honeymoon fund we already had. We aren't the extravagant type at all. Then comes the time for Emma to pick her dress. I know everything is more expensive when it has the term wedding attached to it. What I wasn't expecting was a $950 dress plus $120 veil. I'm using my dad's old tux he used for his wedding to my mum. Just had it taken in a little. Emma can't use her mum's dress as her and her mum both say the style hasn't aged well, which is fair. I had a quick Google around at dresses online and there were so many, and so many just like the one Emma wants for like $50 to $100. I'm not trying to get her to cheap out on her dress, but she will literally wear it once. One dress for over $1,000 is just insane. That would fund our honeymoon. I tried to show her some dresses I found on a recommended app called Wish and other websites, but she was having none of it. She is very slender but apparently wants it specially fitted. It turned nasty unfortunately because I said I refused to drop such a large amount of money on the dress, and she argued that she's using her own money for the dress, which isn't strictly true as we are about to marry and our finances will be joined. Then her mum had to get involved. They offered to pay for the dress, but it's not a case of not being able to afford it. It's a dress. There are identical ones online at a fraction of the cost. I thought she would be ecstatic to learn there are identical dresses for a fraction of the cost, but she was really angry and upset. Am I the arsehole here? Is there something I am seriously missing? Because after we argued about the dress, Emma had been extremely cold towards me. Then yesterday she said if I want her to cheap out on her wedding dress on her wedding day, that she needs to really consider if we are a good match for marriage. I'm blown away that she would say that over a dress. I told her she's like a toddler throwing a tantrum over a sparkly toy she can't have. That was a mistake as she left to stay with her parents, who called to tell me I am much more than an arsehole. Am I the arsehole here? OP later edited the post and said, Emma found this thread. It was a mistake to post here and I'm sorry I posted our problems on Reddit. I am the arsehole. So there was a bunch of comments below this from OP as well, but also some relevant comments with OP replying. So OP first said, but the gowns I found on Wish looked very professionally made and very similar to the one she's picked. Obviously, because of the website OP picked, a lot of people were bashing on OP for that one. Another comment OP made said, I mentioned a secondhand wedding dress store and she said no without even going to take a look. People on the back of that comment was basically calling OP controlling here. Another comment OP made said, that's not fair. I would never tell her what to wear. She can wear what she wants. It is the absurd price that I'm against. Another commenter from OP says, see, I can definitely understand caring about the quality of the dress if it's a work dress or a regularly worn formal dress. I think what everyone's missing is this will be worn for one day. And people below that one were basically saying, yeah, everyone knows a wedding dress is worn for one day, OP, because he just kept repeating it over and over again. I mean, potentially she could be wearing it to 2 weddings at this rate. But Mary says, Emma, ask if your fiance's behavior here is a one-off. There are some concerning things here. His insistence on controlling your purchase, made with your money, even if it's funded by your parents. Is he controlling in other ways? Has he ever been insistent on you spending your time and money only in ways he approves of? And does he usually lash out when you don't do what he wants? The way he's resorting to name-calling because you wouldn't capitulate to his demands, calling you a toddler, throwing a tantrum, instead of communicating with you respectfully. This is made especially worse by the fact that his demands are unreasonable and stem from a fundamental ignorance about the subject. Wedding gown cost, what knockoffs are and why they're a bad idea, etc. And that he's shutting down your attempts to educate him. Does he normally communicate with you openly and respectfully? Does he normally get angry and verbally attack you when you disagree with him? Are you normally able to have conversations with him on difficult topics that are calm, respectful, and productive, even when you disagree? Maybe you're both cracking under wedding planning strain, and this is an out-of-character moment that you can work through. But maybe this is pointing to a larger pattern. Proceed with caution. Remember that you're about to enter into a pretty intense legal and social contract with this man, and that you're signing up for a lifetime of conflict resolution with this person in particular. The way you both approach disagreement and handle conflict now reflects how you'll be likely to continue to do so going forward. Now may be the time to double check with yourself if this is the right move. Edit. After reading through the comments, I would also encourage you to look at his behavior here, on this Reddit post. His response to new information is not to take it on board and process it, but to double down, plug his fingers in his ears, close his eyes, and refuse to listen. The lengths he'll go to avoid admitting he was mistaken are a bit troubling. It may also be worth asking yourself if there's a reason someone who is so insistent on always being right may have for seeking out a partner who's a decade younger. I'm wishing you all the best, and I hope this works out for you. OP response that says, I thought I'd have a look through the comments to see if anything explained why Emma has blocked me and her phone is ringing through to voicemail. I seriously can't believe people started a witch hunt over a dress. I watched some YouTube videos of Wish wedding dresses, and yes, Wish are trash, I get it. I was wrong about that site. But to end up being blocked because you've told her I am abusive and manipulative is just vile. I called her parents' house and the line's off the hook. So if you see this, Emma, call me, please. I won't shout, I won't get mad, I just want to end this crap. Get whatever dress you want. I see that I was wrong and I'm sorry. Spelling's bad, had some whiskey, can you blame me after this? Mary replies to that and says, edit to, based on Josh's newest comment about you blocking him on Messenger. It sounds like you're taking some time and space to think things over. I think that's a really good move. There's a quiz from the Love is Respect project that may help you clarify your thinking about whether this is a healthy, nurturing relationship. Hope everything turns out well for you, Emma, whatever you decide to do. There's a whole community of people here rooting for you to be happy. Edit 3, it looks like OP has been banned from Am I the Arsehole? He just sent me a furious, invective-filled PM, blaming the sub for what's happening in his personal relationship and reiterating that abusive behavior is normal and fine. So I guess he's learned nothing. According to the PM, Emma's dad just called him and chewed him out, so it sounds like at least she has a strong familial support system. So Mary provided a transcript of the message that she was sent and said, which was from OP, the groom, and said, I'm now banned from Am I the Arsehole and good fucking riddance. The dad just called to cuss me the fuck out. Can you believe I've been trying to not fucking cuss so I didn't get banned so I can at least defend myself, then banned for no reason? I live in the real world where when people are angry, they yell. They save money where they can. They don't fucking run away and block you. Fuck this, fuck it all. And fuck Emma for believing strangers on the internet over a fiance of 2 fucking years. Cupcakes and Vodka says, Emma, if you see this, run for the fucking hills. Men who are almost 40 marry 27-year-olds often because they're manipulative and going to put bullshit a woman his age won't put up with. He is too old for you. You're seeing signs of this behavior now. $950 for a wedding dress ain't shit. He's already trying to control and manipulate you and your fiance, and you aren't even married yet. Do not go through with it. OP, you're a massive arsehole, and she shouldn't marry you. OP says, wow, thanks, seriously. She's been keeping up with this thread because she told me not to take it down. She wanted to read the replies, and now she's blocked me on Messenger, and my calls go to voicemail. So thanks a lot, everyone. Couldn't have left it at you're the arsehole. Legitimately out for blood. Mob mentality if ever I saw it. So then the bride came in with her own post titled, Me, 23 female with my fiance, 43 male, of 1.5 years. He's humiliated me just a few months before our wedding over my dress, and I don't know what to do. I will change the name despite his inability to do the same. I don't really care if he sees this, but he isn't subbed to relationships. I literally don't know where to start. My fiance we'll call Greg. I don't know what came over him. It's completely insane. We're getting married summer. The argument started over my wedding dress. I picked a very simple and traditional gown that was already discounted as it's an example gown. My absolute idiot of a fiance decided to post to a subreddit asking for opinions or more likely validation on whether I was being unreasonable. My dress is under $1,000 but will come to around $1,500 with alterations. We have over $7,000 left in our budget. That's another thing that seriously upset me. He lied in his post multiple times. I make a much higher salary than him, so we agreed he would put $5,000 towards the wedding and I put in the rest. But why lie? Why ask opinions if you skew the details? I had no problem with this as he makes just above the minimum wage. The thread got way too much attention. I'd already gone to my parents because I was angry about him calling me immature and shouting about me being spoiled. I also happened to find the thread shortly after he made it because not only did he use my real name, his throwaway was his real name followed by his alarm pin. He sent me a text saying that he wasn't the asshole in this situation and I just knew he would posted on Reddit. It's not the first time he posted on Reddit about stuff, but nothing of this magnitude. Anyway, I don't know what to do. There are people online now claiming to be me, and it's been shared on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm absolutely mortified. He got totally hammered last night and called my parents. My dad had to hang up on him because he was screaming down the phone and my mum was disgusted. I can't get my money back on the venue or anything. I recently started antidepressants because I've been feeling low, but now I just feel empty. This whole thing was about the cost of my dress, and he suggested I use the Wish app to get an identical gown. First, he refused to listen to me that Wish is garbage, but he also argued it to death in the comments. I read every single comment in that thread and it was like being punched in the gut. I can't get over the odd lies either. He gave out my real name and his, but lied about the age gap and budget. I am 23, he is 43. Admittedly, he looks much younger, and for the first few weeks dating, I thought he was in his early 30s. We also have only been together a year, not 2 years I think he said. I'm starting to think this was all too fast. I need help. I need advice. I know I'm quite possibly pot calling the kettle by posting to Reddit, but I post here a lot usually anyway, and all the fake accounts claiming to be me might throw him off anyway. I might be slow replying as I start work in an hour. Thanks all. So the original OP, the potential husband, put up another post 3 months later in the dating advice subreddit saying, struggling to get back into the dating scene since my fiance left me unexpectedly. They said, a few months back I was going to be married, and long story short, things were called off. She wanted to end things, I didn't, and I feel like I've lost all my trust in women. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I was dating someone called Isabel up until last week. She's really amazing and kind, but the second she heard about my ex and the fiasco that surrounded it, she ghosted me. And it's become a pattern. At some point, no matter how close we are getting, I hear about it from a friend and it comes up somehow and they bail. I just want to know how to behave or what I can do to make things work. My last girlfriend, Casey, when she broke up with me, she said the issue was that I hadn't changed from who I was when my fiance left me. But I have. I hardly drink at all now. My job is steady and I'm a good guy, but I think the issue is that I'm suffering from small town syndrome. Everyone knows everyone here. Back arsewards little town it is. Please give me advice on putting this behind me. I'm honestly desperate. My life was about to move towards a phase, and now I'm stuck in limbo. I need a girl to fill that place so I can move forward with my life. And I'm just going to read the top comment from that post from Berserk the Kid, who says, aren't you the guy that was really rude and controlling over what your fiance wanted to buy with her own money? I saw your Am I the Arsehole story on YouTube and came to check you out. I was not surprised that your fiance left you. Actually, I applaud her for doing so. You need to work on yourself, like seriously work on yourself. Drop the selfish entitled attitude. No woman wants to be treated the same way you treated your ex-fiance. I think the scariest part is how unaware to your own abhorrent behavior you are. You need a serious reality check first, and you also need to understand why you're in the wrong, because you'll always blame the woman you're with instead of yourself until you learn to take responsibility for your actions and examine your flaws. Don't punish any woman with your personality until you fix it. Good luck. My wordy. When he said I need a girl to fill that place so I can move forward with my life, I was like, oh fucking hell's bells. And it was like the fiance / bride said, it's like, why do people create a post with skewed details on a throwaway account? I never understand that, to sort of validate themselves, yet you're lying to validate yourselves. It's like another level of shitness, really, isn't it? But anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from a throwaway account and says, am I the arsehole for refusing to waive my alimony because my ex-husband has cancer and can't afford it? My ex-husband, 56 male and I, 52 female, got divorced because of his infidelity. He married his affair partner. She was a prostitute 20 years younger than me. As part of our prenuptial agreements, we had agreed that I would receive alimony for being a stay-at-home mum. I was a stay-at-home mum for my entire marriage. We had 3 daughters. He never had a problem with paying alimony after our divorce. We had to be friendly to maintain a good co-parenting relationship. My daughters were very hurt in the beginning, but learned to forgive my husband and his wife. They make TikToks with her all the time now. He ended up getting cancer, and because he became a big spender and had recently started his own business, the bills have been very hard on him. He and his wife asked if I could waive my alimony payments at least for a little while so they can pay for his cancer treatments. I see no reason why they can't downgrade their quality of life. They live in a multi-million-dollar house, and his wife is decked out in designer clothes and has a full face of procedures. I told them no, and they have been pressing me to waive my alimony payments. They've even made my daughters bring it up. He's called me cold-hearted and said he'd been good to me and would have helped me out if I was going through a hard time. Am I the arsehole? Edit, he has early-stage thyroid cancer. It's very treatable. He's not going to die. The first commenter says, from Scene Odd, I feel like there's more information that could influence a vote, and there's an argument possible that both parties have some arsehole behavior. Go to a judge, let them decide, or to be more civil, ask to sit down with them and figure out a plan. Maybe it's you stop alimony for 2 months while they adjust assets and redo their budget. If they aren't willing to redo a budget, then this was likely a tactic to get out of it, and they're the arseholes. Either way, tell them to keep your kids out of it. That's absolutely not okay. It's not their fault, you guys divorced. There was also a bunch of people saying you're the arsehole. Some people call OP vindictive. Another commenter says, not the arsehole, that they live above their means isn't your problem. They asked and you said no. That should have been it. But here's where I really feel you are not at fault. They keep harping after you said no. Then they try to use the kids. That's a seriously low thing to do. Then he calls you names and says how good he's been after he cheated and it led to divorce. The alimony isn't being good. That's court mandated. He would have helped you out. Right, easy to say now. He didn't help you out when he helped himself to another woman. If they really had a money crunch, they can probably sell cars or a house or take a loan against the house, which they pay back when they downsize the house later, etc. Basically, there are many other avenues before the alimony payments. They probably went for that because it would be the easiest if you just agreed. Does the wife not work? Fax Machine says not the arsehole, and Jesus, I'm going to assume it's all middle schoolers in the comments because good God. If he truly can't afford it, he can go back to court to try and have it reduced. She's not lazy, she was a stay-at-home mum who'd have an extremely tough time getting back into the workforce at this point because of sacrifices she made for him. He has a multi-million-dollar house. No one needs that. If he can afford it, great. If not, well, he's the one who cheated, knowing there was a clause for alimony in the prenup. Good Lord, Reddit sometimes. Commenter asks OP saying, info, have either of you talked to a lawyer? OP says, have. It's very unlikely my alimony payments would be affected. He legally owes a lump sum amount that he pays in installments. There was a commenter talking about him who deliberately chose not to get any health insurance, and OP responded saying the man has never planned anything in his life. He's an incredible salesman, but he lacks other critical skills like discipline. He should have known that opening up his own business came with its own risks. He always needed the structure of a job to succeed. He has early stage thyroid cancer, which is very treatable. He can easily afford his treatments with an adjustment in lifestyle, but he knows it won't keep his wife. Being the mother of his children means jack shit to him. It's only the legality that binds him. I think it's safe to say the majority of the comments on this post were leaning towards not the arsehole, but there was quite a few you're the arseholes in there as well. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, for getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.